championship teams. So, Bob, when you talk about making it to college football's holy grail, you have to navigate yourself through a tough SEC schedule.
Well, everything's a little bit different in the SEC. Just look at the trends right now in college football. I mean, last year across the country, offenses broke the all-time record for points per game, yards per game, passing yards per game. Mark, not tonight, not in the SEC. There's too much talent on these two defenses to expect these offenses to go up and down the field. What you can't expect a typical SEC game. A lot of speed, a lot of great hits, tremendous emotion. I know you like points. May not be a lot of points tonight, but this is always fun to watch.
Yeah, guys going to be bowing up, putting some muscle behind their hustle tonight. Auburn finishes 9-4 last year, Bob. But what in the name of Bo Jackson is going on with all these changes?
Well, remember what Tommy Tuberville told us earlier in the week. Everybody in Auburn, they're in culture shock because of the new spread offense. He surprised everybody last year before the bowl game. He went out and made the total commitment to the spread, no huddle attack. I mean, this Auburn offense gets a lot of publicity, but if you look closely, it's still Auburn football, and that means great defense, run the football, win in the kicking game. Mark, they've been to 8 straight bowl games. They're not going to deviate from that plan too much.
Two brand new coordinators. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mississippi State's head coach Sylvester Croom has been inciting passions all across the state. We'll tell you about the Bulldogs head coach on the other side.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by YellowPages.com. Need something? You need YellowPages.com. And ESPN Game Plan. See the most college football every Saturday. To order, call your pay-per-view provider.
Welcome back, everyone, to Davis Wade Stadium, Scott Field in Starkville, Mississippi. It's the SEC opener for both Mississippi State and Auburn as the Bulldogs come onto the field. For Mississippi State, there has been a huge turnaround from last season. After 3 consecutive 3-win seasons last year, Mississippi State going 8-5. Sylvester Croom, their head coach, taking them to a bowl game for the first time since 2000. And looking to improve on that 8-5 season of last year.
It was a great turnaround, but you and I both know sometimes the year after the turnaround is more difficult. And I think his goal this year and this entire football team proved last year was no fluke. He told us yesterday this is a more talented team, a better team potentially than it was a year ago. They got off to a rough start. They got upset by Louisiana Tech. Questioned their discipline a little bit, questioned their leadership a little bit, but yesterday you could sense this is a very confident Mississippi State team.
And led by Croom, last year's SEC Coach of the Year. Meanwhile, his counterpart on the other side of the field, Tommy Tuberville, in his 10th season as Auburn's head coach, says, hey, I don't care if people aren't talking about us all that much. We love the fact that maybe we are under the radar just a little bit. And now here's what we have in the hopper for you tonight. Some interesting elements we'll be talking about throughout the course of the evening. We'll go back through time a little bit, talk about the great running back history at Auburn, the multi-threat quarterbacks in college football these days, and there are a lot to speak of, and African-American head coaches, how many and how the situation could improve perhaps down the road. And the new defensive coordinator at Auburn, just one of many in the last few years. Well, Auburn won the opening toss, deferring to the second half. Mississippi electing they will receive, and that's Derek Pegues, a dangerous return man back there.
We talked in the open. Not a lot of points do I expect in this game. You go back to the last 9 times Mississippi State has played Auburn, they've averaged 12.1 points a game. Mississippi State have never scored over 19 in the last 9 years. So you think I made a pretty safe bet? There's not going to be a lot of points?
I'll go under. Here's Pegues from 2 yards deep. Found a seam. Derek Pegues, lethal as a return man, all the way out to the 38-yard line. And he's just set a school record for kickoff return yardage with that return.
Well, there are two great returners in this game. You're going to see the first one now for Mississippi State. Derek Pegues. Sly Croom makes no hesitation saying this is their best football player on the team right here. And there's a great returner, Robert Dunn, for Auburn on the other side.
Yeah, we're going to see a couple today, Bob. And it's 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. Dixon stopped up behind the line of scrimmage by Derek Marks as we take a look at the starting lineup for the Auburn Tigers. Scrolling across the top of your screen, Wesley Carroll is the team's starting quarterback, a 6'1 sophomore from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And he has rebounded nicely from a shaky start in week 1 when he threw 3 interceptions. Anthony Dixon on that last carry at the starting tailback spot. He lost 3 yards. They're going to rotate. Mississippi State will a lot of different offensive linemen throughout the course of the game. 2nd down and about 13 to go now. This is Dupree. And Christian Dupree gets stopped up after a gain of about a couple yards. It'll be 3rd down and long coming up for the Bulldogs as we take a look at Auburn's starting defensive unit coming across the top of your screens. And Derek Marks is one of the leaders up front.
Yes, Marks, 7 starters back from last year. They ended up 6th in the NCAA in total offense and scoring. So, as always, high expectations for that defense at Auburn.
You saw Blackman on your screen a moment ago. He's one of the guys that teammates feel is going to have a breakout season this year. 3rd down and long on the Bulldogs' opening drive of the ball game. Carroll working out of the shotgun this time. Brandon McCray has been his go-to receiver. Carroll tucks it under and will take off on his own, but is pushed out of bounds at the 41-yard line. So the Tiger defense limiting him to just a 4-yard pickup. Mike Blanc pushing him out of bounds. It'll be 3 and out for Mississippi State.
And we talked about Auburn's dynamic returner, number 3, Robert Dunn. Touchdown against Louisiana Monroe, 66 yards on a return. Had a 65-yarder called back last week against Southern Miss.
Blake McAdams is punting, and he is under strict orders from the head coach not to punt to Robert Dunn. And you know what? He was true to his word, kind of, on that one, Bob.
Well, you can see Robert Dunn is an aggressive returner. A lot of guys would have let that ball go out of bounds now.
Getting after it just a little bit. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Auburn now. Chris Todd is the starting quarterback after a very frenzied and frenetic quarterbacking battle. Cody Burns, his backup, actually started the first game of the season. Chris Todd took over as the starter in game 2 and gets his 2nd career start today. Brad Lester is the starting tailback behind him. And the Auburn Tigers have undergone a couple of changes on the offensive line up front. We'll see how that works out today. But they have a group of talented receivers that Chris Todd can throw to this afternoon.
And Tommy Tuberville made the change on offense last year before the bowl game. Last year they ended up 97th in total offense. And he is firmly committed to this spread.
Todd fires, and it is complete at about the 32-yard line. Mario Fannin making the stop on the play as we take a look at the Bulldog defense. Tim Bailey, one of the leaders up front, joined by Bowman, McCraney, and Sean Ferguson, a very talented freshman out of Miami, Florida.
This is a good Mississippi State defense.
Pickup of 2, Bob, on 1st down by the Tigers. They run it. And you talked about being a very stout defense. That was Derek Pegues coming up and making the hit on Brad Lester on the carry, limiting him to a 4-yard gain.
Well, Derek Pegues' favorite player is Bob Sanders of the Indianapolis Colts. And how many times you've watched the Colts bring that 8 guy down in the box just like that? That's a pretty good imitation of Bob Sanders right there.
Pretty good hit. You said we were going to see some big hits today. 3rd down coming up for the Tigers, 5 to go.
And who would have thought this was SEC football right here? Linemen in 2-point stances, all looking over at the sideline for the signal.
It's almost sacrilegious. On 3rd and 5, plenty of time to throw. The pass is complete to number 80. That's Rod Smith, but he's chopped down immediately by Glanton, and he's short of the first down.
What was interesting, yesterday Sly Kroom told us we are not going to punt the football down the field to Robert Dunn. No way. If Robert Dunn touches it, I'm firing the punter. In contrast, Tommy Tuberville said, you know what? We're going to kick it right down the field to Derek Pegues and just see how good he is. So Tommy Tuberville, a lot of confidence in his punter and great hang time on these punts.
We'll see what Pegues can do, Bob, standing at his own 15. This is Durst with his first punt. And Pegues fumbles it. It's loose. Tigers say they have it. Still no signal. Derek Pegues fumbled the punt. And now the official steps in and says Mississippi State football from the 20-yard line. And a collective sigh of relief coming from Bulldog fans. Pegues missed the first game of the season because of a suspension. Came back in the second game, and Mississippi State fortunate to get it back there. We'll be right back. Derek Pegues of Mississippi State on headset right now after fumbling that punt just a few moments ago. The Bulldogs getting it back. They'll start from just outside their own 20-yard line. Anthony Dixon is the lone back in the backfield. A two tight end formation for Mississippi State here. First down and 10, their second drive of the ball game. Wesley Carroll hands it off to Dixon between the tackles. He picks up about 3 on the play. Impact players for the Bulldogs, Wesley Carroll, 7-4 as a starter. Actually, last year he took over in this game when the starter Michael Hennig broke his hand. Anthony Dixon with 25 career rushing touchdowns. That's second most in school history. And Brandon McCray, a guy that has really emerged since summer ball as a dangerous wide receiver. Little bootleg action. Carroll wide open. First down and complete to number 87, Aubrey Bell. That's the game's first down.
Wesley Carroll a year ago played in all 13 games as a true freshman. Valuable experience. They really wanted to redshirt Wesley Carroll a year ago, but injuries to 2 quarterbacks put him in the fray. And now Woody McCorvey, the offensive coordinator, says we have a quarterback to build this program on. He's only a sophomore.
Never really felt like they could throw the ball as well as they can right now. And Carroll out of St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hands it off to Decree. Decree gets about 2 on the play, brought down by Trey Blackman. We'll get a steady dose today of Decree and Dixon.
Well, we talked to Sly Kroom yesterday. We said, look, everybody's going to the spread offense. Are you going to make the total commitment to the spread ever? He told us yesterday.
That brow came down, didn't it?
He said, I will retire before I go to the spread. Look for them to line up with these big running backs, try to pound Auburn, keep it close, and hopefully wear a smaller Auburn defense down in the fourth quarter.
Carroll on the bootleg. Pass complete at the 43-yard line to number 15, Coeric Riley, who was rocked immediately upon catching it. Craig Stevens with a big hit on Carroll after the play. 3-yard pickup.
Wesley Carroll, a young guy out of Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas Aquinas High School. They've had some great players under George Smith down there. Has played in 3 state championship games in high school.
Was coached in high school by one of our colleagues at ESPN, John Congemi, former quarterback at Pitt. Dixon in the backfield and now split out as a receiver. Empty formation. Carroll fires way high, intended for Aubrey Bell. You know, Bell's 6'3", but Manute Bol couldn't have caught that one. That'll be 4th down and 5 coming up, and the second punt coming up now for Blake McAdams. Last time he was successful, Bob, in punting the ball away from number 3, Robert Dunn of Auburn.
Well, if he doesn't, he should probably just head to the other sideline, because I don't think Sly Kroom's going to welcome him back on the Mississippi State sideline.
McAdams with a great high spiral. Wow. And he drops it like a pitching wedge inside the 5.
Well, he had a 73-yard punt against Auburn last year. He started all 38 games since he's been at Mississippi State. That's a weapon right there.
53 yards. Anything in the air that long should have a movie on it. We'll be back after this.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Volkswagen, Das Auto, it's what the people want, and Aflac, ask about it at work.
Welcome back, everyone, to Starkville, Mississippi, where you can catch yourself some ribs. And this might be one of the best parts of the country for catfish. I dined on a little catfish this afternoon, Bob.
This whole place is kind of a well-kept secret. I mean, this is a beautiful campus, great facilities here. I mean, young AD Greg Byrne, 36 years old, the AD here at Mississippi State.
And we've had a great time and a great day of college football, capped by the one coming up a little bit later tonight. Ohio State at USC on ABC. Countdown, 37 minutes and change to go. First down and 10 out of the end zone. Man open, but incomplete. Intended for Rod Smith. Head-to-head, the Trojans with a little bit of a lead. And one of the big questions tonight, of course, Jim Tressel has said that Vinnie Wells will not play tonight.
Well, what helps Ohio State in this game to me? USC is not a spread offense.
Handoff this time to Brad Lester, and Lester finding a little bit of room for the first down over the 15 out to the 18-yard line.
Well, we said in the open, a lot is made, a lot of publicity about the spread, but Auburn, two great running backs. They are still a running team, and you see the explosiveness of Brad Lester right there.
Well, what about the tempo, Bob? When was the last time you saw an Auburn team run up to the line and get things going the way they're doing right now? Lester again dancing between the tackles out to the 23-yard line. I thought Chris Spielman had a great line in the ESPN News pregame hit you did it with him. He said, you can't just date the spread. You got to marry it, commit to it.
And Tommy Tuberville's done that. They have made the total commitment, and a big part of that commitment is this no-huddle, hurry-up scheme, but they're still adjusting. He told us how you manage the game in this, how you control the clock.
2nd and 7 on the reverse. Fannin, one of the speedsters, brought down across the 30 at the 33-yard line by number 22, Dominique Douglas. But a 12-yard pickup on the play by Fannin. So Auburn with a semblance of offensive rhythm here, moving the chains again.
And there's no way Mississippi State could simulate this kind of tempo in practice with a scout team offense. Huge advantage for Auburn.
On first down and 10, Ben Tate in the backfield. They set up the screen pass, and Tate with nowhere to go. Going east-west. And couldn't square those shoulders, pushed out of bounds at the 28-yard line by Carlin Brown, getting the start at middle linebacker, number 52.
Well, not to go back to the open again, but we talked about a typical SEC game.
Right.
You're going to see a lot of speed.
Right.
Did you see a lot of speed on that play? On both sides of the ball. It's hard to go east and west in this conference. You had better go downhill.
Players shaken up down on the field. Looks like number 68, Jason Bosley.
And Jason Bosley, an amazing story. Started the season as an offensive tackle, moved to center, became the starting center after only 2 days practice, and they're entirely in the shotgun. Let's take a look at how he got hurt. Yeah, the defensive back, number 23, O'Quinn, came in and chopped his legs out from underneath him. Those offensive linemen aren't used to guys going down around their legs now.
Yeah. 2nd down and 16 after the loss on the play.
And Ryan Pugh now moves to center and has to do the shotgun snap, but he started the season at center.
See how solid he is on this snap. No problem on that exchange. Todd fires. Big hit. But the pass is going to be ruled incomplete. Keith Fitzhugh jarred the ball loose from Robert Dunn.
Two really good safeties in this game for Mississippi State. Keith Fitzhugh right here breaking on the ball.
That's a nice hit, Bob.
You know, it was a great hit. You'd love from an offensive standpoint, though, to see Robert Dunn secure that football right there.
3rd and 16. And a chorus of cowbells raining down on Scott Field.
I thought you weren't allowed to have cowbells in the SEC.
Oh, is that what they are?
Yeah, no artificial noisemakers in the stadium.
Kind of sounds like.
Oh, it does?
On the handoff. This is Ben Tate. Gain of about 5 on the play, or 6.
And you
far
go
short
back,
of the first down.
You go back to the big negative lost yardage play by Ben Tate when he tried to reverse field is what got Auburn off rhythm.
Into punt comes Clinton Durst once again. His second one of the ball game. The winds of change gusting through the plains in Auburn. A brand new offensive coordinator in Tony Franklin and a brand new defensive coordinator and Paul Rhodes coming over from Pitt. All this on the heels of a 9-4 season. Durst gets a very fortuitous roll all the way down to the 15-yard line. So he pins Mississippi State deep in its own territory. A 51-yard effort by Durst. We'll come back right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to Scott Field, Davis Wade Stadium. Bob, read the sign out for us.
Well, some of them are pretty obvious. This one right here probably draws the attention of Tommy Tuberville.
Prohibited.
And Auburn fans, because I think that's a cowbell right there.
Kind of looks like one. One of the things indigenous to Davis Wade Stadium here. On 1st and 10, Wesley Carroll pulls the trigger complete for a first down at the 28-yard line. We go back to the studio. Wendy, what's going on?
Mark, it's a sports center right now due to damage to Reliant Stadium caused by Hurricane Ike. The Texans and Ravens game scheduled for Monday night has been postponed until November 9th. And the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs survive a big-time scare at Williams-Brice. A last-second interception, Chris Smelly picked off by Rashad Jones. And South Carolina loses by a touchdown. Georgia escapes with the win.
All right, Wendy, and back here on 1st down and 10, McRae not finding much room, brought down a loss of about 1 on the play. And first and foremost, all of us here at ESPN would like to extend our thoughts and prayers to the people of Texas and the Houston area, Galveston area, and hope for a speedy recovery or even a methodical recovery. Just stay safe, everybody, please. A loss of 1 on the play.
Mississippi State trying to create big plays. You know, last year probably at the bottom of the NCAA in plays over 20 yards. Just not an explosive football team.
About 4.5 minutes to go. Still scoreless, and Wesley Carroll and his intended receiver on the play getting crossed up there. A little malfunction on that play. Brandon Henderson was the closest receiver.
You know, really interesting talking to Sly Kroom yesterday, talking about that early season opening game disappointment, the loss to Louisiana Tech. Just felt like his football team learned how to handle adversity over the last 4 years. Had some success last year, not sure they could handle success. The little things got away from them. Penalties, turnovers, a little bit of lack of discipline on this football team early in the season.
Well, they were second in the nation in turnovers coming into this weekend's play. Had 7 overall. 5 in the first ball game. Carroll back to pass. Flag thrown on the play. The pass incomplete. It looks like we're going to have a hold on the play on Derek Sherrod, the starting left tackle.
Yeah, Derek Sherrod starting his first game tonight. The big left offensive tackle, 79. Foot infection. Actually had surgery on it getting his first start. And you can see the speed of these Auburn defensive ends.
Here's the call.
Face mask, number 79, offense. Penalties decline, 4th down.
Well, the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup gets underway in New Hampshire. Can Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards derail Jimmy Johnson's hopes for a 3rd straight Cup championship? Or will Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon notch their first wins of the season as they look for another championship of their own? The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup begins in New Hampshire, presented by GoDaddy.com on ABC Sunday, September the 14th. Third punt of the night for Blake McAdams. Kicks it away from Dunn. And Dunn calls for the fair catch at the 36-yard line after the 37-yard punt. Bob, we saw the sign coming into Scott Field here a few moments ago. Cowbells are prohibited. There are people here with cowbells. I'm not putting anybody on blast and putting it out there, but we saw it on the camera. Now, it's an issue sometimes with some of the visiting teams, like it was with Tommy Tuberville.
First of all, let me defend Mississippi State a little bit, because that's part of the tradition here. And let's give them an advantage. This is probably the smallest, or one of the smaller stadiums in the SEC. And I think Auburn, in the no-huddle spread, all their stuff is done with a silent count anyhow. I really don't think it makes any difference. I kind of like the tradition.
One of the things really unique here. Let's go back to Wendy Nix in the studio.
Mark, Oregon trailed Purdue 20-3 in the second quarter, but the Ducks battle back. Garrett Blunt right here punches it in from about 2 yards out, and in double overtime, 32-26, Oregon survives.
An amazing comeback by the Ducks. Wow.
Purdue continues to struggle defensively. The last several years, they just have not been able to slow anyone down.
2nd down and 9 coming up for the Tigers. Chris Todd. And it is going to be ruled complete after a juggling act by Montez Billings. He picks up 7 on the play. Made it look a little more difficult than maybe it had to be.
Well, you talk to Tony Franklin, the offensive coordinator. Surprisingly, he said to wide receivers, it's the biggest transition of any position in this offense from last year to this year.
Well, most of them we spoke to are real happy about the change. That was Ben Tate.
That's always the question when you've made the commitment to the spread. Can you run it when everybody knows you're going to run it, like right there on 3rd down?
Tate coming up a little bit short of the 1st down. Ben Tate, the team's leading rusher coming into this game, had a touchdown against Southern Mississippi last week.
And there's no question Auburn's still going through some growing pains. They improved against Southern Miss over the first game against Louisiana Monroe, but this is a huge transition. But Tommy Tuberville is in it for the long haul with the spread.
You saw how far they have to go for the 1st down, Bob. What do you do?
Punt the ball.
Really?
Punt the football. With Mississippi State's defense,
you're kind of in a nice part of the field, though, to go
Mississippi State's
for it.
offense, I think you're a spread team. I would go ahead and punt the football right here.
We'll see if the Tigers can muscle up here. They lead their quarterback in, Chris Todd. The deep back is Ben Tate.
Mississippi State pretty stout in that middle. A couple of 315-pounders in there.
Chris Todd, not a great runner, but he doesn't have far to go. And it looks like he got far enough for the 1st down. Jesse Bowman there to stop the surge finally. And Chris Todd and Cody Burns fought it out for the starting quarterback spot. And here's the move by Todd.
Yeah. Good leverage by the quarterback. Good surge by the offensive line.
Transfer from Texas Tech. Went to Hutchinson Junior College.
Yeah, and actually was in this system in high school back in Kentucky for 3 years. Tony Franklin, the offensive coordinator, out of coaching at that time, was the consultant at his high school. Yeah. So he really has 4 years in this offense.
They set up the little receiver screen, but nowhere to go for Robert Dunn. Dunn's the guy that Tony Franklin wants to get a few more touches today. But he had nowhere to go. Stop made by LaMarcus Williams. Brandon Cooper also in on the play.
What a huge advantage for Chris Todd over Cody Burns. Being in the system for 4 years, knowing the terminology. I mean, they called the plays exactly the same in high school as they call them here at Auburn.
2nd down and 9 coming up. Run a little option. Ben Tate with nowhere to go. Stopped up and a loss of about 2 on the play. Keith Fitzhugh with another nice play defensively coming up on run support from a strong safety spot.
It's hard to all of a sudden just run the option or run a little bit of option. You see Fitzhugh, the big safety, and also Tim Bailey from the inside out, the defensive end.
Third down and 11 coming up for the Auburn Tigers. A little wide on the snap, but Todd got it. Incomplete. And it's fourth down coming up, intended for Ben Tate.
And you can see, if you're Auburn and Tommy Tuberville, you're going to have to take the bad with the good, because you are in a transition situation right here in this offense. So, to be frank, there's going to be some ugly plays.
They haven't put a lot of points on the board last week aside. Fourth punt. Actually, third punt coming up for Clint Durst. Picks off a nice one this time. Pegues fields it inside the 10. And Pegues runs it out near the 20-yard line. 10-yard punt return. Last year, Mississippi State playing in the Liberty Bowl against Central Florida and winning that game in Mississippi State fashion. A low-scoring defensive battle. Derek Pegues right there with a key pick in the game.
And Sly Kroom, SEC Coach of the Year last year. And what it does, it validates the philosophy of this program. That success last year validates to everyone that he's on the right course here at Mississippi State.
There's Dixon running between the tackles, nowhere to go. Stopped up by number 93, Gabe McKenzie.
When we talked to Sly Kroom yesterday, he said it's so important that they don't get away from who they are. And who Mississippi State is right now is a team that cannot make mistakes, because they don't have the athletes, quite frankly, at the skill positions to compensate for mistakes. So they have to be a well-disciplined, grinded-out team.
Says he feels a lot better about the team's overall leadership this year, and their intangibles as well. Second down and 10. Carroll hands it off to Dupree. And that's what he will do. He will move the pile frequently throughout the game. Give you a lot of yards after contact, and that wraps up the end of the first quarter. Back in Starkville, Mississippi, zeros on the scoreboard. That is Paul Rhodes, the new defensive coordinator at Auburn University after several years, successfully so, at Pitt.
Yeah, he's a good coach. Auburn's fourth defensive coordinator in 5 years. But it's all been positive because they've moved on to some great jobs, primarily the University of Texas, the last two.
Well, Muskamp, who was the defensive coordinator last year here at Auburn, on third down and 3. Carroll rolls out, nowhere to go, and he's going to be sacked for a loss back at the 20-yard line. Number 26, Mike McNeil, making the stick. And it's fourth down coming up for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, we've seen some excellent play out of the safeties on both teams. Fitzhugh from Mississippi State, and now Mike McNeil from Auburn. And it's kind of a punt-a-thon right now, isn't it? Been a lot of punts in this football game.
6th sack of the season for the Tiger defense.
But the field position starting to swing a little bit in Auburn's direction right now.
Blake McAdams into punt for Mississippi State. And that's Robert Dunn standing at his own 35-yard line. A high spiral. Dunn calling for the fair catch at the 43-yard line. Big game coming up tonight in just a few minutes, actually, between Ohio State and the University of Southern California. The two each have 7 Heisman Trophy winners. Name the other school who also has 7. And Bob, I ended a long drought in our production meeting earlier today. At the risk of sounding immodest, I actually got this one.
That was a slam dunk, though. I mean, that's a gimme right there. I mean, don't pound your chest.
Oh, you throwing a flag on me?
I mean, that was
Is
easy.
my name Jake Block?
That was stealing right there.
And 14 minutes and 31 seconds to go before that broadcast begins over on ABC. Ohio State against USC. The actual kickoff at about 8:20 Eastern time. A lot going on right here down on the field at Scott Field. Flags down on the field. I almost get the feeling, here's the call.
Before the snap, false start, number 68, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
I promise you, Auburn fans are in culture shock. Look at this formation. This is the center. That's the ball right there. There's only a guard right here. There's no tackle. So you're going to see a lot of exotic things. Some things you plan, maybe some things you don't plan. So there's some growing pains going on right now.
Somewhere Bo Jackson is shaking his head saying, what are we? At the 45-yard line. And that's going to be ruled complete to Robert Dunn, who got his feet in and made a tough catch working against the safety Fitzhugh, picking up 16.
And as you know, every play in college football is automatically reviewed from the booth. Robert Dunn on the corner route right there. Tough to see from that angle if he had possession, but Auburn in a hurry up, get up there and snap it. No chance to review that one, Mark.
That's going to be a loss on the play. Ben Tate carried it.
And the advantage of getting up there so quick and snapping it, you beat the replay system, but to a degree you waste that play, Auburn offensively.
Had Leicester lost about 2. Auburn right back up the line of scrimmage, as you mentioned. Todd looks over to the sideline and gets the play. 2nd down and 12. Almost intercepted. Man, Jasper O'Quinn shaking his head in disbelief, his palm skyward saying, I should have had that one.
What a great break on the ball by Jasper O'Quinn. They try to get it to Montez Billings. Chris Todd stares him down, and just a great break on the ball by O'Quinn.
Auburn is 0 for 4, Bob, on 3rd down conversion so far in the game tonight. 3rd and long coming up.
And Auburn came in only 33% on the season on 3rd down, 94th in the country in passing efficiency. So this Auburn offense, passing-wise, has been struggling.
On 3rd and 12, Todd under some duress.
That ball didn't cross the line of scrimmage. I'll be curious if that ball crossed the line of scrimmage, Mark. He was outside the tackle box.
McCraney in on the pressure on Chris Todd. Take one more look at this.
He's clearly outside the tackle box. So he can throw the football away, but it has to cross the line of scrimmage. The blue line is the line of scrimmage. That ball never crossed that line of scrimmage. That should be intentional grounding right there.
Yeah, a couple of Bulldog coaches imploring the referee to throw the flag, which he didn't. Clinton Durst in for another punt from his own 40.
Wow, that's great hang time.
He launches one, which will bounce into the end zone. A 48-yard punt, nothing on the return, but a net of 28 as it'll come out to the 20-yard line. Still zeros on the scoreboard. SEC football at its finest when we come back.
Let the drama kick, the drama.
Strange things have been known to happen under the guise of a full moon. That's a real full moon here. Scott Field, Starkville, Mississippi. Number 9 Auburn and Mississippi State deadlocked at 0 right now.
Neither team has converted a 3rd down. A combined 0 for 9 on 3rd downs in this football game. So you see how important it is to run the football, particularly on 1st down.
1st and 10 coming up for Mississippi State. They're working out of the I formation. And nothing doing at the 20-yard line. Dixon, nowhere to go. Wendy Nix calling for the fair catch back in the studio. Wendy.
Well, Mark, a Taco Bell studio update that will likely play well for the fans in Starkville. Take a look. Brock Johnson pitches on the reverse. Riley Hawkins takes it 13 yards right on into the end zone. And just like that, Stanford leading Ole Miss 7-6.
All right, Wendy, and of course, one of the big wins last year for Mississippi State, one of their 4 conference wins was against their cross-state rivals from Oxford. Other conference wins included Kentucky, Alabama, and the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, Anthony Dixon, the tailback from Mississippi State, gets twisted up right here. Stayed down on the field. Yeah, that
like
obviously
got
got twisted.
under.
It looked like the right leg right there got twisted.
Coach Kroom told us that he tells Anthony Dixon he is their designated quote-unquote will breaker, the guy that people don't want to tackle late in ball games and breaking the will subsequently of the opposition. Right now he's going to be on the sidelines, and Decree comes in for him. Second down and 10. Decree looking for a hole, and not much space for him either. Gain of about 2 on the play. Gabe McKenzie, one of the first guys there to make the stop. Third and long coming up. That's been a popular refrain so far in this game. Decree, a 6', 215-pound junior.
Woody McCorvey, the offensive coordinator, told us yesterday it's the first time since he's been at Mississippi State in 5 years that they have a quarterback that when another team takes the run away, he feels Wesley Carroll can throw it. I think we're going to find out tonight if Woody is accurate on that, because they're going to have a tough time running the football on Auburn. You can see that now.
Carroll telling me yesterday he feels like his arm strength has improved tremendously from a season ago. Third down and 9.
Starts with pass protection right here, though.
Before the snap, delay of game, number 13, offense. 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Remember one of the new rules this year, we have a new 40-second clock in play. Immediately after the previous play, unless it's an administrative stoppage, the play will count down from 40. Otherwise, 25.
You know, Sly Kroom, 16 years, I believe, in the NFL, really brought the West Coast offense in here. But you have to have wide receivers and a tight end to be really successful in this offense. They need to get the football to these wide receivers a little bit.
There's Wesley Carroll now on 3rd and 14. Throws a rope incomplete and almost intercepted by number 4, Zach Etheridge of the Tigers. 4th and 14. In comes the punt unit once again.
Yeah, Wesley Carroll got away with one there. He threw that right into coverage. No chance of an open receiver. And again, Auburn not generating an offense, but winning the field position battle right here.
This is the 5th punt coming up for Blake McAdams. It's off a high spiral. Robert Dunn calling for the fair catch at the 43, right about the same place he called for it last time. A 41-yard punt. Nothing on the return. The Auburn Tigers looking to put their first points on the board when we come back to Starkville, Mississippi, and this is the conference opener for both teams.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Acura Advance, and Priceline.com. Save up to half off on hotels, only at Priceline.
Part of the Bulldog Bash last night downtown near Main Street in Starkville, Mississippi. Good old time prior to a big SEC opener between the hometown Bulldogs and the visiting Auburn Tigers. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davie here at Scott Field. Davis Wade Stadium, zeros on the scoreboard. First down and 10 for Auburn. Hand off to Lester. And Lester makes it out to the 45-yard line. Big game coming up in just a few moments between Ohio State and USC. We asked you the Aflac trivia question. Each team, each school has 7 Heisman Trophy winners. Name the other school also with 7. Bob Davies, he says, I pulled my shoulder, tapping myself and patting myself on my back. Notre Dame. Got it.
I abstained on that. That was a conflict of interest right there.
1 minute to go before kickoff out in Los Angeles at the Coliseum between USC and Ohio State. Kickoff at about 8:20 Eastern Time. Downfield and open. It's going to be ruled complete at the 25-yard line to Billings. Billings getting in behind Tay Bowser to pick up 30 yards on the play.
Montez Billings used all of his 6'2" frame right there. Excellent throw by Chris Todd. Tay Bowser, 28, the corner, over the top. Big play right there by the Auburn offense.
First and 10 from the 25. This is the deepest penetration of the game for either team. Todd given plenty of time. Finds Lester. And Lester brought down to the 22-yard line.
Tommy Tuberville talked about the spread offense, how much he thinks it's helped recruiting already. Auburn with 22 commitments already. He attributes a lot of that to the players and how much they enjoy playing in this spread.
Here's Lester again, getting another touch. Bob Lester breaking a couple of tackles and close to the 10-yard line. Brad Lester, the team's leading rusher coming into this game, and we had a chance to speak to some of their receivers who they say now get a chance to showcase not just their running skills but the receiving skills in Tony Franklin's offense.
Yeah, and I think also a guy like Brad Lester, this really helps his NFL chances because now it involves pass protection, pass receiving.
First down and 10 after the 11-yard gain. Todd wisely throws it away. Over the head of the intended receiver, Tommy Trott. It'll be second down and 10 coming up for the Tigers.
And an interesting story, Tony Franklin right here. At Kentucky in 2000, then out of coaching for 5 years, thought he would never coach again at the collegiate level. Really was a consultant putting this offense in for high schools around the country over that 5-year period. Was at Troy the last 2 seasons, and now here at Auburn.
Well, it was a pretty profitable business for him, the consulting thing. Glad to be back in coaching now. Ben Tate, the lone back beside quarterback Chris Todd. And a little movement on the line of scrimmage.
Dead ball foul. False start. Number 73. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
It's against Lee Zimba of Auburn. Well, Monday Night Football returns with an NFC East showdown, Texas Stadium. Donovan McNabb, Brian Westbrook, and the Eagles take on Tony Romo, Terrell Owens, and the Dallas Cowboys. Monday Night Football on ESPN at 8:30 Eastern Time. Coverage begins at 7 with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS.
I bet Jaws is foaming at the mouth already, getting ready for that one. Now, that is a great game.
I wonder if Jessica Simpson's going to be there.
Oh, don't go there. You probably had to bring the People Magazine element into a great Monday night game.
I was reading it on the plane here to Starkville.
Oh, man.
And more movement once again, and another flag on the line of scrimmage.
I'll tell you, the center, Ryan Pugh, is taking a beating. That's 2 plays in a row. Jesse Bowman, at 315 pounds, has just teed off on Pugh. And remember, Pugh is the guy they moved to tackle because his shoulder was hurt, and they were concerned about the shotgun snaps. He's taken 2 big shots, back-to-back plays. Let's take a look at this now. Now watch.
Oh, yeah, there was a little movement.
There's movement, but look. Boom.
68. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Here's another look. You talk about being the center in the shotgun spread, Mark, with your head down the whole time, and that's 315 pounds across from you. The backup, Kyle Love, is 320 pounds, Mississippi State's second nose guard. And this guy has a bad shoulder.
I can understand why.
What?
Second and 20.
There goes that head down.
Might he be a little gun shy right now? This is Tate, and Tate is stopped up after a gain of about 4 on the play. Ben Tate and Brad Lester sharing the carries in the running game for Auburn.
And it's hard for Auburn to really have that great tempo they desire because they self-destruct a little bit with penalties. You really can't get any rhythm going when you're penalized like that.
Auburn not very prolific on 3rd down tonight. They do have a package for backup quarterback Cody Burns down here, but they're not using him.
Showing the 5 wide receiver, no back look here.
On 3rd down and 16, they elect to run it. Not sure whether that was a designated run or not, but Bailey made the stop, and it's 4th and long. They are in field goal range for West Byram, though.
And one of the great stories in all of college football, Tim Bailey, number 39, 12 months in Iraq. He was a part of the National Guard. Went to junior college before that, and what a great young man Tim Bailey.
Wonderful inspiration for his teammates. Wes Byram going to attempt this field goal from 35 yards out. He's 4 for 5 on the season. Kicked a couple of game winners last year, and this one is good. Wes Byram, also out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, puts the first points on the board tonight. And Tim Bailey's defense holds them to a field goal in the red zone. It's not every day that you have a teammate that spent 12 months to 18 months in Iraq facing live fire, but such is the story of Tim Bailey, the starting defensive end for Mississippi State, a key part of their defensive front. Being tended to on the sidelines, looks like a bit of a wardrobe malfunction. He helped hold Auburn to just a field goal on that last series. The Tigers set to kick off.
24 years old, they call him Uncle Tim. He's earned the title Uncle Tim on this football team.
An impressive young man. Pegues from the 2-yard line. Looking for a big play, and Pegues stopped up at about the 23-yard line. There's a flag on the play.
Return to the 24, flag on the play.
Just under 7.5 minutes to go.
Face mask, number 31, kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Mark Jones along with Bob Davie. Bob, Mississippi State trailing 3-0. Offensively, haven't been in sync that much. What do they do here?
Well, I don't think anyone on the Mississippi State sidelines is in shock because they haven't been in sync. I think they kind of expected it. I think the fact that they held Auburn to a field goal right there really allows them to stay on rhythm. Not that they've had a lot of rhythm on offense, but they're only 3 down. Just keep wearing them down. Don't panic. Don't make a mistake. Get this game into the fourth quarter. That's, to be honest, that's how Mississippi State is going to win this game, Mark.
Last year's was a low-scoring game, which they won. Carroll fires high for his intended receiver, number 82, Nelson Hurst. It'll be second down and 10.
You go back to last year's game, Mississippi State won 19-14 at Auburn, but Auburn had 323 yards. Mississippi State only had 213 yards. Auburn turned it over 5 times. So that old phrase, winning ugly, I mean, Sly Croom's comfortable with that. So these fans are getting a little impatient right now, but I promise you Sly Croom isn't.
Derek Pegues had a pivotal and key play in their success last year. Dupree in the backfield. Carroll just 3 of 8 right now. Working out of the shotgun, hands it off to Dupree. And Dupree moving the pile out to the 45-yard line. Last year they met in the SEC conference opener, and this is the crucial, critical pick 6 for Derek Pegues. Ran it back for a touchdown. Tate had a nice game for Auburn, countering the Mississippi State efforts. But in the end, it was Mississippi State winning it. Dupree with a touchdown, 19-14 the final. And Wesley Carroll came in that game in the second quarter, relieving his starter, Mike Hennig, who broke his arm.
Well, and Sly Croom told us yesterday, when you're at Mississippi State and you play one of the Alabama schools, there is a tremendous buzz, not only in this community, but the whole state. So playing Auburn, Alabama is huge for this football team.
3rd and 4. Dupree runs it close to the first down, but there's a flag thrown on the near side of the field. Dupree appears to have enough for the first down if the play hangs.
Flinched a little bit.
4 yards.
Get the call here.
Illegal formation, only 6 on the line of scrimmage, offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat 3rd down.
And now Sly Croom is getting a little impatient. He brought them back after they lost to Louisiana Tech. He got their mind right. He brought them out at 7 a.m. on Monday morning and practiced.
Went twice,
full speed,
right?
Twice on Monday because it was Labor Day. Full speed, goal line, full pads, because he thought they had gotten away from the little things. He questioned their discipline. They cannot win making silly pre-snap penalties like that.
Did that stuff work for you, Bob? Did you ever do that?
It gets their attention. There's no question.
3rd down and 9.
Timeout. Mississippi State. First charge
Bulldogs
timeout of the half.
burned their first time out of the half. They have 2 remaining. And we'll take a timeout right along with them. Under the lights at Scott Field in Starkville. We'll be right back. Auburn Tigers looking for their 7th victory in the last 8 games against Mississippi State. Right now leading 3-0 with 6:13 to go in the first half. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davie. On 3rd down tonight, Mississippi State has not gained a solitary yard. Looking at 3rd and 9 here. Carroll with time, completes it. Lunging for the first down is Dupree, but he appears to have come up just a half a yard short.
Great effort by Dupree. Young guy transferred from Tulane. Not even a hesitation right here as Sylvester Croom sends that punt team out on the field. We look at Paul Rhodes over on the sidelines. You know, his dad is was a long-time high school coach in Iowa, about 35
Auburn.
years.
First charge timeout of the half.
His dad, when he was coaching at Pittsburgh, Paul, would come in and stay for the whole season. His dad was kind of his consultant. His mom's having some health issues back in Iowa. His dad won't be able to make a game this year, but that's a good football coach with a lot of fire right there, Paul Rhodes.
Had a chance to meet his dad, Cecil, a couple of years ago. Great man. Let's go back to Wendy Nix in the studio.
Mark, thank you. It is possible the offensive clinic has begun. Oklahoma at Washington, and here we go on the opening possession. They march down the field. Sam Bradford, Joaquin Iglesias. 13 yards later, the Sooners have a 7-0 lead. That game on ESPN.
Well, you wonder if Washington recovers from what happened last week. Tough way to lose a football game. Fair catch called at the 10-yard line once again by Robert Dunn. A 42-yard punt. Nothing on the return. And the Mississippi State punter, Blake McAdams, holding true to the coach's game plan to kicking it away from Dunn.
And a huge defensive series right here coming up for Mississippi State, because they have to start winning the field position battle, and they have an opportunity right here with Auburn starting out at their own 10-yard line. So you may not generate points on defense immediately, but eventually you will if you can win the field position battle.
And now field position favoring Mississippi State, although it is 1st and 10 for Auburn. From their own 10-yard line, Tate with forward progress about the 13-yard line, got 3 on the play, where he stopped up by Bo Walters. This Mississippi State defense played well last week in that win against Southern Louisiana. They notched 5 sacks on the night.
Yeah, they held Southeast Louisiana to 148 yards. Louisiana Tech only had 269 yards in the upset loss in the first game. How about checking the eyesight of the offensive lineman so they can look over and see those signals from the sidelines?
2nd down and 5. Tate still on his feet, keeping those legs churning, and he's close to a 1st down at the 20-yard line.
What really helps Tony Franklin and this Auburn offense is the Auburn defense. You know, so much attention given to this spread. Tony Franklin coming in. I mean, it's 3-0 right now with 4:50 left in the first half. So when you play great defense, you can kind of evolve on offense, and that's what you're kind of seeing right now. So Auburn football, it's still about playing defense.
You're trying to tell me not that much has changed, huh?
Don't jump on that boat just yet on this spread.
Tate carries it, got about 2 yards on the play, brought down almost immediately by Charles Burns. Mississippi State with a little bit more depth up front, rotating in a lot of different defensive linemen. Burns, one of them. He backs up Sean Ferguson up front. 2nd down and 9 coming up for the Tigers. Under 4 minutes to go in the first half. That pass incomplete. Intended for number 80, the team's leading receiver, Ron Smith. It'll be 3rd down and 9 coming up. Tiger defense holding Auburn to a field goal last series. There's a look at their national ranking. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, it's early in the season, but you look back to last year, Mississippi State 21st in total defense with 8 starters back. So this defense expected to be good.
A stop here would be huge for the Bulldogs. Auburn 0 for 6 on 3rd down tonight. Flag down.
Wow.
Incomplete.
And Chris Todd just misfired on that one.
See what this flag is about.
Castro Quinn, near 2 keys, defending. Flag on the play.
It's going to be against Auburn, so this is going to give Mississippi State an opportunity for good field position.
You know, it was interesting talking to Tommy Tuberville.
Number 84, offense, was moving forward at the snap.
This week, how he said the biggest transition for him was learning how to manage the game because it's such a different offense. And you see how Auburn football has been great defense, but control the ball on offense, run and play action. All of a sudden, Auburn's defense is coming right back out on that field now. So everybody going through a transition. And now you get a low line drive punt.
Pegues avoiding a hit. Kind of a glancing blow. He goes down immediately at the 35-yard line. Well, get your weekly dose of NFL news and analysis on ESPN Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Chris Berman hosts NFL Sunday Countdown, presented by IBM, with analysts Mike Ditka, Tom Jackson, Steve Young, Chris Carter, and Keyshawn Johnson. Find out who is Mike Castle. Hear his improbable road to becoming the Patriots' starting quarterback. And Chris Carter takes the field with Justin Tuck as well.
Justin Tuck, one of my recruits at Notre Dame out of the state of Alabama, wasn't really highly recruited. We got a steal at Notre Dame getting Justin Tuck out of Alabama.
Leslie Carroll going downfield a little bit, and the pass is complete to Brandon McCray. And McCray has a Bulldog 1st down. A pickup of 12 on the play.
And one of the changes you see on Auburn defense this year, look how far the corner, Gerard Powers, is playing off of McCray. Last year with Will Muschamp, they were a lot of bump and run, had those corners up. With Paul Rhodes, they're more off coverage. That time McCray took advantage of that soft coverage out there at corner.
And Bobby blew a tire too, lost a shoe when he came out of his cut. Made the catch anyway. 1st down and 10. Nowhere to go between the tackles for Anthony Dixon, who comes back into the game.
Let's go back and look at this, as you called it, blown tire right here. Yeah, he just flat left it right there.
That's when you know you're fast, when you outrun your shoes.
That's one of the first chunks of any kind of appreciable yardage Mississippi State has had tonight.
You know, Brandon McCray, Bob, had just 2 career receptions coming into this season.
Well, he had a big jump ball catch for a touchdown last week against Southeast Louisiana.
Dupree in the backfield. Henderson in motion. The tight end now sets. Carroll, Auburn blitzing, and Carroll wisely throws it away to Dupree as we go back to the studio for Wendy Nix.
Mark, Wendy Nix, and Robert Smith, we will be with you at the half. True to his word for Jim Tressel, there will be no Beanie Wells tonight at the Coliseum. And Georgia survives and advances, but not without a serious scare at Williams-Brice.
Yes, and apparently Dr. Lou's house call had a big impact for the Fighting Irish today over the Wolverines.
We'll see you at the half.
All right, thank you. And back here, 3rd down and 9. Hey, we talked about the Bulldog defense. Auburn's defense hadn't given up an entire point until midway through their 2nd game last week.
That's a pretty good stat right there, isn't it?
7
I think that's pretty good.
And a flag down on the field.
Ball snap. False delay of game. Number 13, offense.
That's the second
5-yard
one.
penalty. Still 3rd down.
And, you know, you know what he's thinking right now. His whole message is we cannot We cannot beat ourselves. That was the message of that 7 a.m. practice on Labor Day.
I asked you if those work. You think you catch their attention, but does it work?
If they work that well, I probably wouldn't be standing up here with you right now. You asked me if it worked for me.
Hey, but you got.
Would I be next to you if it worked?
We talked about Justin Tuck a few moments
ago. I know, we had so much talent at Notre Dame, right? I just couldn't coach it.
3rd and 14.
Timeout, Mississippi State. Second charge timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
Bob, we talked about Sylvester Croom trying to get his troops in order here. Croom, the first African-American head coach in the SEC. A very bold move, frankly, by the school, Mississippi State, to hire an African-American when, frankly, I'd spoken to some assistant coaches at the time throughout the years. I've been doing this for 17 years. They thought there might not be a time when they'd see a black head coach in the SEC.
Mark, I agree, and he's done a tremendous job. I mean, they've been patient, and he has this program on track. And I think something else that's very interesting, not only Sly Croom, but he has a African-American offensive coordinator in Woody McCorvey, African-American defensive coordinator in Charlie Harbison, and that's really unheard of across the country. But the bottom line, all three of those guys are great coaches. Bottom line.
Mississippi State extending Croom's contract after last season. Wesley Carroll with nowhere to go, pushed out of bounds at the 42-yard line. And Trey Blackman makes the stick on the play.
And we talked about
4th down.
Woody McCorvey, the offensive coordinator, about 35 years in coaching. He's seen it all. Now, tonight is not the prettiest thing he's seen this first half, but that's a good football coach right there.
The offensive coordinator feels that this is the year that they can really do some things through the air with Wesley Carroll, although it hasn't shown yet in this game. And that punt out of bounds inside the 30-yard line at the 28. It's going to be spotted.
And the Mississippi State defense continues to keep the Bulldogs in the game. Big hit right there by Baguise. Then the other safety Fitzhugh right there. And another hit on the option by the safety Fitzhugh. So 3-0 ball game. They're still in it because this defense has done an excellent job despite being backed up with some poor field position earlier in the game.
Charlie Harbison, the defensive coordinator, safeties coach at Mississippi State. He too has worked with some great coaches throughout the years. 1st down and 10. Lester takes it around the left end and finds a seam for the 1st down out near the 40-yard line. Lester running hard.
It's fun to watch Brad Lester. You know, last year he was suspended for 5 games, still had 530 yards, has up over 1,500 yards in his career at Auburn right now, but he is an explosive back. And the more you spread this field, the more you create a little crease in there for a guy like Lester to take a long one now.
1st down and 10, under a minute and a half to go in the 1st half. Downfield, Todd has him in, and it's complete down to the 32-yard line, number 85, Quindarius Carr. The redshirt freshman comes up with a big play for Auburn. He picks up 28.
Auburn's been waiting for a receiver to step up. That's a big throw and catch right there. Quindarius Carr. Hasn't been a lot of conversation about him.
From the 32, Lester stopped up behind the line of scrimmage at the 37. A nice surge led by Jesse Bowman, who's been playing real well, actually to the point where he was promoted to a starter this week.
Well, we saw Jesse yesterday, not very tall, but about 315 pounds, and it is tough to block a guy like that, particularly when the center is in the shotgun. You see Big Jesse lined up in there again.
He fills out that uniform.
Hey, they're all trying to get a little rest right there, that defensive line.
That pass incomplete, may have been tipped near the line of scrimmage. Intended for Montez Billings. He and Todd may have gotten a little crossed up on that play.
Well, you see the inconsistency right now in this Auburn offense. And interestingly, the reason Chris Todd won the job, they say he's more of a vocal leader and protects the ball. But he's had some errant throws. positive. He's made a couple good throws tonight, too, but just a little erratic.
Yeah, problematic, though, Bob. They're 0 for 7 on third down tonight. 2 timeouts remaining. You see it on the screen under Auburn, those 2 little lights indicating 2 timeouts. That pass complete. Tate. And Tate is run out of bounds at the 25. They're going to spot it. Boy, he made a sharp cut to stay in bounds. Looks like they had him cornered. They marked it at the 25. Looked like he stepped out of bounds much before that, so he got 11 on the play.
Well, Auburn has an excellent field goal kicker in Wes Byram. He beat Florida and Arkansas on the road last year in the closing seconds. Had a 52-yarder against Southern Miss. So this guy right here has been money.
They're going to spot it at about the 32-yard line. It'll be from 42 yards out. Ironically, Mississippi State's quarterback Wes Carroll was his holder in high school. Byram missed it to the left.
Wow, and what a shot of energy for this Mississippi State defense.
The Bulldogs dodge trouble as Wes Byram misses one, something you won't see frequently.
And you have to respect this Bulldog defense. The life of a place kicker. How close. Hooked that 7-iron just a little too much right there.
One of his few misses. He was 4 of 5 coming into the game.
Man, you've heard the phrase, win ugly. Mississippi State isn't winning right now, and it's been ugly, but it's only 3-0 going in at halftime.
That's the end of the first 30 minutes of play. Sylvester Croom looking for another upset over Auburn, much like last year when they defeated the Tigers 19-14. Well, if you thought this was going to be a Picasso, so far it's a finger painting.
Oh, you love great defense now. Come on, jump on the boat.
Not yet. Let's go back to Wendy Nix in the studio.
Mark, thank you very much. We're going to take you through to the second half, but finally we've got a football game at the Coliseum. True to his word, Beanie Wells is a no-go. Both teams have started this one 3 and out. We'll have an update from Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Georgia survives and advances, but not without a scare at Williams-Brice. We'll show you how this one went down right after a quick break.
The song says throw your hands in the air, but not a lot of reasons to do that on the offensive side of the ball anyway. Auburn leading 3-0 so far. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davie. This the 82nd meeting between these two teams. More importantly, Bob, the conference opener for both Mississippi State and Auburn here. Is the glass half full or half empty? Good defense or poor offense?
Well, I know exactly where we'll go with this. For you, it's half empty because you love to see offenses run up and down the field.
Scoreboard for me.
For me, it's half full.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes we get caught up in talking about Auburn in a transition on offense, which they are. We talk about Mississippi State, not a lot of big play performers on offense, which they don't have. But you know what? These are two really good defensive teams. Auburn was 6th in the country last year, 6th in total defense, 8 starters back. Mississippi State was 24th in defense with 8 starters back. This is an SEC game with 2 good defensive teams playing.
Auburn will start the second half with possession of the football. All the way out to the 38-yard line. Davis with the return, and here's a look at the first half numbers. Auburn just 170 yards of total offense to 65 for Mississippi State, and neither team able to convert on third down.
Yeah, that's incredible right there. 0 for 15 on third downs. The other thing that jumps out at me is 16 yards rushing by Mississippi State. You would feel a lot better right now if you were Sly Croom, if you were pounding them a little bit, even though you didn't have points with the thought you may wear them down in the fourth quarter, but they haven't been able to generate anything offensively.
Tony Franklin, the brand new offensive coordinator for the Tigers this year. They fumble it on the first play. Loose ball. And Mississippi State appears to have recovered at the 32 of Auburn. Derek Pegues comes up with it.
Hard to say. Great defense on that. I thought Chris Todd slightly took his eyes off that snap. Right there, he never controlled the snap. Then the ball bounced off the face mask. What a great break. And this is Sly Kroom. His message at halftime was this right here. Just keep playing. We have them right where we want them. Something good's going to happen.
This is the deepest penetration of the game for Mississippi State at the Auburn 32. Carroll on 1st and 10, and he loses yards, sacked back at the 39-yard line by Antonio Coleman, the second-team All-SEC preseason pick.
Auburn coaches told us Antonio Coleman, he could be dominant. Started out this season, first play of the year, he caused the sack. The ball bounced out. Auburn recovered it for a touchdown. That was the first play of the year for him on defense. That bodes pretty well.
Boy, a tough break for Mississippi State, losing about 8 yards back to the 40. Second down and about 18. Carroll looking to throw again. Nowhere to go. Caught but out of bounds, incomplete. Eric Riley made the catch. There's a flag on the play. A late one thrown at about the 11. There was a lot of contact down the sideline, Bob.
No question, Walter McFadden was locked up with Eric Riley down the sideline. Let's take a look at it right here. Yeah, his hands were on him. He forced Eric Riley out of bounds right there. I think you have to call that. I thought his hands were on the receiver's chest. He forced him out of bounds, did not give him an opportunity to catch the football.
Here's the call.
Pass interference. Number 6, defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
It'll be 1st and 10.
Do you realize how precious these yards and these first downs are? I mean, a yard in this game is like gold now. That penalty was the biggest offensive explosion tonight for Mississippi State.
That's a Christmas gift. Moves the nose of the ball all the way inside the 25.
And young Wesley Carroll, I don't know if you noticed, he's a little jumpy back there in that pocket now. I mean, his feet are chattering a little bit.
Been sacked a few times. Going to be 1st down and 10. They spotted inside the 25-yard line. Anthony Dixon, the tailback. Toss into the short side of the field. Dixon makes one guy miss and makes it down to the 21-yard line, where Ray Blackman made the stop. A 4-yard pickup by Dixon.
Yeah, I talked to Terry Price, Auburn's defensive line coach, who actually played for me at Texas A&M. He told me they were so excited defensively to finally get the line up against a team that runs the football. And there's Mississippi State in the old-fashioned eye toss sweep.
What would you expect from Sylvester Kroom, who's a disciple of Bear Bryant?
Exactly.
Muscle up football, 2nd down and 6 coming up. Dixon again, nowhere to go. Auburn up to the task that time. Ball going to be spotted at the 21. Tez Doolittle making the stop.
One thing about Auburn, they're going to have some big, good-looking defensive linemen. They always have those big, strong defensive tackles and great speed at defensive end.
Derek Marks, one of those players you refer to, Bob, and Tez Doolittle made the stop on the last play. He might be the biggest, most pleasant surprise on the defensive line so far. A loss of 1 on the last play. 3rd and 7. Got to get to the 14 for the 1st down. Carroll juggled and incomplete. And back to Wendy Nix in the studio.
Mark, where else else would we go? The Buckeyes scored first via field goal, but USC answered quickly. Mark Sanchez to Stanley Havili, 35 yards and a touchdown later. They have the 7-3 lead at the Coliseum.
All right, Wendy, and now Mississippi State going to line up for a field goal. They're going to spot it at about the 28-yard line. It'll be a 38-yarder. Adam Carlson, 11 of 16 from this distance all time. And this one is shanked to the left. Missed it badly. And an opportunity like that in a game like this is golden.
Well, it was a knuckleball on the snap. Watch the deep snap. There was no spiral, no rotation on the ball.
So the Bulldogs blow a golden opportunity. Still 3-0 when we come back.
We all have a part to play.
Back at Davis-Wade Stadium in Starkville, Mississippi. Mississippi State trailing Auburn, and this is a conference opener for both teams. 3-0. The Tigers with the lead, first down and 10 from their own 21-yard line. Lester runs it and gains about 3.5, 4 yards on the play out near the 25. If you're just joining us, the Tigers with a brand new offensive coordinator, Tony Franklin.
Watch this block by the big left guard right here, Tyrone Green. Watch the big man come right here. Boom. Even though it's a spread, that's still good stuff right there, isn't it?
Gets your oil going a little bit, huh?
Wow, Mark.
Flag thrown on the play. We've seen both teams look a little disconcerted.
Ball start, number 68, offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Tommy Tuberville's defense pitching a shutout so far.
Well, you look at these stats, and now when you look at Auburn and you talk about 4 defensive coordinators in 5 years, what's the common thread? Well, the common thread is Tommy Tuberville right here, who's an old defensive coach, and great players.
So you're saying the defensive coordinator just got to roll the balls out and say, go ahead, do your
No,
thing?
I'm not saying that. They've had great defensive coordinators. But the one consistent has been that head coach over there on the sidelines now.
Right now they're on offense. The catch made that time by Lester out of the backfield. Got about 2 yards on the play. Stopped immediately by Dominique Douglas, number 22. And number 22 right there wearing the number of his fallen teammate, Jamar Chaney. Jamar Chaney, a couple of weeks ago, suffered a season-ending leg injury right there on crutches. Last week it was Keith Fitzhugh that wore his uniform number. This week it's Douglas.
Neither team has converted a third down in this football game.
Amazing. Let the cowbells ring. That's what you hear from the stands. Lester runs it short of the first down at about the 28-yard line.
I'll tell you, Lester took a good shot right there. He came down right on his helmet, and his head got bent back in an awkward angle, which is always a concern.
And Lester still lying down on the field. Picked up 6. Got upended and flipped.
Yeah, Cortez McCraney right there, the defensive lineman.
Talked about the fact
right there.
Well, Bob, we talked about the fact last year he missed the first half of the season because of a suspension, but came back to run for about 530 yards and 3 touchdowns. Last week, Lester and his backfield teammate Ben Tate had problems hanging onto the football. They each had a fumble each in the first half in their game. No such troubles tonight, but right now you are looking at Brad Lester lying down on the field, a little shaken up. Last year, that 5-game suspension really humbled him. If you talk to his teammates, they all say that he's a different guy coming back, very appreciative of the ability to suit up and play for the Auburn Tigers. We'll find out more on the other side. Stick around. Back at Davis-Wade Stadium under the lights here, Scott Field in Starkville, Mississippi. There's an injured Auburn Tiger player on the field. His name is Brad Lester. He was shaken up a few moments ago with the ball in his hands, was tackled, upended, and came down rather awkwardly on his head and his shoulder. And they have just brought out the cart And the gurney to try and take him off of the field. Here's one more look at it.
It's pretty obvious right there. The helmet made collision with the turf first. No question he's in a vulnerable position right there, and you never want to speculate on these injuries.
One more look at it. If you're just joining us, we did witness him moving his extremities prior to, and there you can see him moving his legs prior to the cart coming out.
One thing I will say, they will always err on the side of caution,
right,
obviously, in these situations.
Lester and Ben Tate have been sharing the running duties for the Tigers tonight. Let's go back to Wendy Nix in the studio.
All right, North Texas at LSU. Trendon Holiday. Watch him, and it's going to take a while, folks, because he's going a long way. 92 yards all the way back. Not what you want to see on the North Texas sidelines, but in the end, Holiday will score, and LSU has a 24-3 lead. Elsewhere, the Tide is rolling. Scored on their first 4 possessions, 34-7. You see LSU and Tennessee, big winners over UAB, 35-3 in that one.
Holiday might be the fastest man in college football. I've covered some of his track and field meets, and he is a 10.1 100-meter sprinter.
Mark, nothing takes the wind out of 2 football teams, regardless if it's your teammate or not, when a player's down on the field. I mean, there is a tremendous bond between these players, particularly even more so now in modern day football, because these players stay 365 days basically on campus. So even if you're a Mississippi State player right now, you look out on that field and you realize the sacrifices that Brad Lester has made to just get a chance to play. So it takes the wind out of both sidelines.
And Bob, you've been there before. You've been on the sidelines as a head coach. If you're Sylvester Croom or Tommy Tuberville, how do you handle your team's mental approach to the game coming out of something like this? What do you say to your team on the sidelines to, you can't ignore the fact that they're going to be conscious of what they just saw happen, but how do you get them back into playing football mode?
Well, I don't think you say much of anything, because anything that you say may in some cases be self-serving. So you don't want to minimize the situation. Hopefully it's just good news, and you relay that good news, if you're Tommy Tuberville in particular, to the rest of Brad Lester's teammates over there on the sideline. So I don't think you really try to put a spin on it. You just go play. When the whistle blows, it's time to go play again. But trust me, it is in the back of everyone's mind from this point forward.
College football, a very close fraternity. Players from both these teams have at some point, whether it be in a large degree or smaller degree, have played against each other in high school or at some other Pop Warner level maybe. And now Lester being put onto the cart and will be taken off the field in a gracious show of affection by the fans here in Starkville, Mississippi at Mississippi State. They have his neck immobilized. As you said, Bob, they always err on the side of caution. Brad Lester, a 5'11" 197-pound senior. His teammates coming out to take a look.
One thing you can count on, doesn't matter what stadium you're in across the country, the medical procedure and response has been amazingly upgraded over the years, so he's going to be in great hands.
Football athletic trainers and medical staff on the whole have done a wonderful job over the years, and as you said, Bob, standardizing procedures across the board. We only have to look at last year, Kevin Everett, the tight end for the Buffalo Bills, that was injured. and how far he has come. And we wish the best for Brad Lester.
They're going to direct out. Follow Michael Hunt. Follow Michael Hunt.
The big thing in these cases is communication to the family, whether his family is here in the stands or at home watching on television. I know how frustrating that can be. So I wish there was something we could tell their family, but we can't.
And almost blocked, maybe partially blocked. Yes, it was. And Mississippi State is going to have great field position. Trey Bowser almost got in and blocked that one. He is the designated punt and kick blocker, and there once again a look at Brad Lester being tended to. Back after this.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Nissan, passionate about performance and proud sponsor of the Heisman Trophy.
The Mississippi State offense right now insipid and lifeless, but hey, they're only down 3-0 and 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs from the Tigers' 46-yard line. Anthony Dixon, the deep back, dotting the I. Bootleg by Wesley Carroll. Boy, he can run it if he wants. He almost crossed the line of scrimmage. Let's go back to the studio and Wendy Nix.
Mark, thank you. Just a reminder of what's going on around our family of networks. 14-3 USC. That game over on ABC, of course, in Oklahoma, just rolling over Washington. It gets worse for Tyrone Willingham and company, 34-0. That game going on right now on ESPN.
Okay, Wendy.
How many shots is Mississippi State going to get? You know, they started the first series of the second half after the Auburn fumble on the 32. Now they start on the 46. Somebody needs to step up and make one big play right here.
Carroll hands it off this time to Decree, and Decree gets close to the 40-yard line. Carroll has misconnected on 7 of his last 9 passes. So, Bob, how much does that narrow the Bulldogs' options offensively?
Oh, no question. I mean, he needs to make a play to get some confidence, and also his teammates and coaches to get some confidence in him. But this is an opportunity right here on a semi-third and manageable to get the first third down of the night conversion for either team.
Wesley Carroll a year ago in this game came off the bench and led them to the 1914 victory. Life has been very different for him since, but he's no longer the backup. He's the guy in the spotlight. Hands it off. And the Bulldogs going to be short of the first down. Decree. What do you do here, Bob?
He ran that football, in my opinion, because he knew he was going to go for it on 4th down. Sly Crooms made that call the play before. There was no hesitation there. That was 2-down territory.
And they are going for it. Bulldogs 2 for 2 on 4th down situations.
Well, they haven't converted a 3rd down all night. Maybe they convert a 4th down. Any chance of a play action pass right here?
Well, that's exactly what they do. Carroll, incomplete, and the Tigers defense holds. Intended for Henderson, and Powers almost picked it off.
Yeah, we're going to ISO Henderson, the tight end. Just really nowhere to go. Good coverage by Powers right there, and Mississippi State squanders another excellent field position situation.
Looked like Henderson might have been open, Bob. Carroll might have just misfired on the play.
Well, there's no question Carroll is shaky right now.
First down and 10 coming back the other way for the Tigers. Chris Todd, the starting quarterback. We have not seen backup Cody Burns yet tonight. The handoff to Tate. Ben Tate with a nice run, and he has a first down into Bulldog territory at the 49-yard line. So now the responsibilities of running the ball largely falling on the broad shoulders of Ben Tate. If you just joined us, Brad Lester was shaken up a few moments ago and was wheeled off the field on the cart.
Ben Tate's a heck of a football player. Young guy out of Maryland, came all the way down to Auburn.
And stopped up right around the 45-yard line by Bo Walters, who is Ben Tate again. And we just heard a few moments ago receiving reports that Lester was taken to Tibaha County Hospital here in Starkville, Mississippi. And as soon as we receive news on his injury, we will relay it to you. Eight minutes to go in the third quarter. Todd with plenty of time. And couldn't find anybody. A very frustrated Robert Dunn waving at the football. The only guy that got a hand on that one was a Bulldog defender, Keith Fitzhugh. Third down and 8 coming up for Tommy Tuberville's crew.
See Tommy Tuberville. He's a patient guy, and he's made a total commitment to the spread, but it's starting to test his patience right now. I promise you that.
Third down and 8. Todd has a man on the post. Flag down, and it's caught at the 14-yard line by Dontez Billings. Working against Bowser.
Well, a good job by Chris Todd of just hanging in that pocket, not getting jumpy. He just hangs the football up in the air. Montez Billings with inside leverage on Tay Bowser, and obviously a face mask, 15-yard penalty tagged on. So
half the distance to the goal from the end of the run. First down.
Wow, they're going to place it on the 7-yard line. First and goal.
Big play for the Auburn offense, and we finally have a third down conversion.
He grabbed that face mask all right.
No question about that, and really important for Mississippi State to step up right here on defense.
Tate cuts inside, and Tate brought down short of the goal line at about the 2. And Tate, the team's leading rusher, coming in. Neither team with a touchdown in the game so far. 3-0. Tigers leading.
One of the problems with the spread, what do you do when you get inside that 5-yard line offensively?
Second and goal. Dunn in motion. Tate on the carry. Stopped up short of the line of scrimmage. Good surge by that Bulldog defense led by Dominic Douglas.
And why it's so tough, when they just load that box up down there on the goal line, they just outnumber you in the running game, and you don't have a lead blocker in that backfield to pick up the extra guy.
That's why it's so tough in the spread down there?
No question.
Third and goal coming up for the Tigers. They were able to hold Auburn off the board except for a field goal last time in the red zone. The toss to Tate again. Cuts it back and nowhere to go. McGee's the first guy there to make the stop.
It's hard when you're in a non-physical style offense to line up and all of a sudden be physical, which you have to do inside the 5-yard line. And that is a great stand by the Mississippi State defense.
Wes Byram now in to attempt the field goal. They're going to spot it on the 13. On the 12, call it a 22-yarder. He missed one earlier. He's 1 for 2 tonight. This one should be a chip shot, but he misses it. He shanked it to the left. Unbelievable.
We talked about Auburn football, their blueprint for success. Great defense. They've had that. Run the football, they haven't had that. And great kickers and kicking game, and they haven't had that. So 2 of the 3 ingredients in Auburn's plan is missing right now, and Mississippi State still has a golden opportunity to win this football game.
It's the first time that he's missed from between 20 and 29 yards in his entire career. Speaks to the usual consistency of Byram, but not tonight. He's 1 of 3, 1st and 10 coming back the other way. Dupree with a couple of straight arms, running hard and with conviction and purpose. Gained about 8 on the play.
I like how hard Christian Decree runs that football. We mentioned he transferred from Tulane. His dad was a running back at Tulane. He runs hard.
Yeah, he moves the pile when you watch the tape enough. Second down at about 3 to go.
Boy, and you see a little bounce right now in the step of this Mississippi State offense.
They run it again. Staying between the tackles. That was number 29 once again, Christian Decree. The offensive numbers for both teams haven't been sparkling, especially for the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. Just 29 yards on the ground. They haven't converted at all tonight on third down either.
Well, and you've squandered away 2 great field position opportunities here in the second half. Sets up a 3rd and 4 right now. And your quarterback, to be honest, no confidence right now. So you talk about shrinking that playbook offensively. There's not many places to go.
He's misconnected on 8 of his last 10 passes, Wesley Carroll. Sophomore still learning. They run the draw. Decree with nowhere to go. That's usually his bread and butter play. But you know what? Auburn has videotape to study too.
Yeah. And again, you see Woody McCorvey. These fans are going to boo, and I understand their frustration. But he's handcuffed right now because his quarterback, who he is very high on, and told us if Auburn takes away the run, we really feel we can throw it. Can't throw it right now.
McAdams into punt, his 8th punt of the night. And Dunn has an opportunity on this one, his first time tonight. Sylvester Croom didn't want him to touch it, and he can be lethal when he does.
But I'll tell you one thing, the punter went and made a tackle because he knew he was in trouble now.
Well, you got to face Coach Croom when you go back to the sidelines. And meanwhile, the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup gets underway in New Hampshire. Can Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards derail Jimmy Johnson's hopes of a 3rd straight championship? Or will Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon notch their first wins of the season as they look for another championship of their own? The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup begins at New Hampshire, presented by GoDaddy.com on ABC Sunday, September the 14th. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown at 1 Eastern Time.
You don't think Blake McAdams didn't have Sly Croom's voice in his head after he punted that ball? Did you see him go downfield and make that tackle?
And the quarterback is sacked. Todd back behind the line of scrimmage by Johnson.
Everybody talks about the decide zone. Well, Mississippi State has an extra guy up here. No way should Chris Todd have kept the football right there. Bad read by the quarterback. They were just outnumbered up there.
And he paid the price for it too, Bob. 2nd and 15 for the Tigers.
Best offense for Auburn tonight's been throw that football down the middle of the field.
They had that post open a couple times. Todd throwing it downfield again. Has a man. Incomplete. No flag on the play. Actually, there's a flag back at the line of scrimmage. Right at midfield.
Boy, Chris Todd underthrew that football as well. Receiver had a little bit of separation going down the sideline.
This is going to be a hold against Auburn.
Going to get a hold on 72, Andrew Palmer on Tim Bailey from Mississippi State.
Number 73, offense. 10-yard penalty from the
Lee
previous
Zimba,
spot.
the culprit.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. It's Lee Zimba on Tim Bailey.
And we talked about Tim Bailey's great story, the 24-year-old senior enlisted in the armed services during his senior year of high school. In 02, went to basic training. 03, Mississippi Delta Junior College, and then ended up spending 12 to 18 months in Iraq doing service for our country. A handoff to number 9, Christian Davis. And Tristan Davis gets his first touch of the night. Down to the 46-yard line.
Talk about running backs now. I mean, you bring Tristan Davis in. He's a big-time back. I mean, he's had a lot of injuries at Auburn, but he may be the sleeper of this group. I mean, he's really fast.
5'10 senior. 1 of 11 on third downs tonight for Auburn.
From Auburn, I roll out a little bit and launch that football up in the air. Let one of those receivers try to go make a play again for you.
3rd and 14. They've got to get all the way down to the 31 for a first down. Todd has a man open. Dunn makes the catch, but short of the first down. Let's see where they mark his forward progress. Oh, they're going to give it to him.
Boy, that is a big, big play. Robert Dunn, who was in the doghouse the first game of the year, they demoted him to 14 because they thought he was underachieving. I think his head's starting to pop out of that doghouse right now, Mark, on that big conversion.
And that is a demotion of all demotions. From first string to fourth. This is Tate, stopped up behind the line of scrimmage. He'll lose a couple of yards, and our man Tim Bailey there once again. Bobby told us a story yesterday about 6 mortar shells flying overhead, and they were able only to account for 5 of them, and that provided for a few nervous moments.
And it was 2 weeks before he was coming home.
Yeah.
So he and his buddies were talking about coming home. Next thing you know, there's 6 mortars coming over top of you.
1.5 to go in the third quarter. Downfield, intended for Billings. Incomplete in the end zone, and no flag. Derek Pegues defending that play. Almost looked like Billings pulled down.
Well,
Pegues.
a lot of times you get pass interference called on that when the ball is underthrown. But watch Billings right here and see if he doesn't pull Pegues down. That could have been offensive pass interference right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Pegues is just about ready to turn back to make that play. Probably a good play by Billings right there.
3rd and 12. They converted last time on 3rd down. We'll see what they do here. Flag down, and they blow it dead before it starts. Both offenses really arrhythmic tonight.
Before the snap, ball start, number 73, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Lee Zimba having a tough time in this series, Bob.
They tell her he's going to be an NFL player. I mean, he's only a sophomore. They say unbelievable potential, but one thing speed on that other side will do. It'll make you jumpy now.
It's like Jerry Glanville once said, NFL sometimes stand for not for long. He keeps that up. Makes it 3rd and 17 now.
Look at Mississippi State looking over for the defensive signal, too.
This game has evolved to the point where it's almost coordinator against coordinator now. Coordinator against quarterback. Todd under duress and sacked back at the 38. Number 95, Kyle Love, and Bo Walters there. That Bulldog defense jacked up.
This Mississippi State defense, these 2 guys right here now, they're 315 and 320 pounds, these 2 big defensive tackles. Watch them just keep coming, keep pushing that pocket up in there. Kyle Love and Jesse Bowman. That's 600 and some pounds inside.
We saw him yesterday at the indoor facility. Those pants are full. Durst with the punt, going to try and hang it up inside the 10, which he does successfully. Wesley Carroll going to start from deep in his own territory. We go back to our studio and our quarterback, Wendy Nix.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. It's a SportsCenter Right Now update. Hurricane Ike has caused damage at Reliant Stadium. As a result, Texas Ravens, they would play Monday night. That game has instead been rescheduled to November 9th. And, of course, an update would not be complete without a check on the Coliseum. Sanchez to Blake Ailes in the back of the end zone, and the Trojans have a 14-3 edge. This game going on right now over on ABC. Mark, back to you.
All right, Wendy, time running down. Just 15 seconds to go here in the 3rd quarter. Bulldogs looking for a little bit of life offensively. Dupree across the 10 to the 12-yard line. 2 teams played a low-scoring game a season ago, 19-14, a verdict won by the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Bob Davies said it was going to be low-scoring, but Bob, you didn't say it was going to be this low.
Hey, this is great stuff right here.
Throw your hands up. Oh, hot damn. This is my jam. Keep me partying to the AM. Y'all don't understand. Make me throw my hands in the air.
the chase for this control.
Under a full moon here at Davis Wade Stadium, Scott Field in Starkville, Mississippi. We're back for the start of the fourth quarter between Mississippi State and number 9 Auburn. Auburn with a tenuous 3-0 lead. The Bulldogs with the football. Second down and 5 from the 11-yard line. McCray in motion. They're going to run it. And a first down out to the 22-yard line. Christian Decree pounded it in there. A 10-yard pickup on the play. We take a look at the numbers through the first 3 quarters. Mississippi State unable to amass much offense.
Well, you know what, Tuck? None of this matters. All that matters is what happens in this fourth quarter. And Sylvester Croom told us yesterday he's going to test Auburn's will by running that ball, and hopefully wear them down. We're going to see if that happens right here in the fourth quarter.
As a disciple of Bear Bryant, played at Alabama. That time, the 3 stopped up right around the line of scrimmage.
You know, the problem they have, Auburn plays so many players up front, though. You know, they alternate their front 7. Now, depth in the secondary is a concern for Auburn, but depth up front in the front 7 is not really a concern. So it's hard to wear them down when you're rotating guys in there.
Well, they got some numbers the Tigers do up front.
At some point, you're going to have to play action pass, and your quarterback's going to have to make a play right here.
A year ago, Wesley Carroll emerged as the starter during this game against Auburn. Came in for the injured Mike Hennig. Carroll looking for the completion and incomplete. Intended for Aubrey Bell. Bell wasn't even expecting it. Well, Monday night, you can expect some good football. NFC East battle between Dallas and Philadelphia. Donovan McNabb takes on his former teammate Terrell Owens. Coverage begins 7 Eastern time with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS. And yeah, I did mention Jessica Simpson earlier. Of course, if you don't know, that's Tony Romo's significant other.
Sly Crooms searching that play call list right there.
Looking for answers, huh?
Boy, they are out of sync in the passing game.
3rd down and 8 coming up. Got to get to the 32-yard line for the first down. 0 for 10 on 3rd down tonight. Complete. And short of the first down is Decree. The Tiger defense comes up with the stop at the 27-yard line, so it'll be 4th down for the Bulldogs. Unable to throw it vertically down the field, Mississippi State, Bob. Just can't do it tonight. And once again, Blake McAdams coming in. Standing at his own 13. A high spiral that kind of hangs up there for a while. Takes an Auburn bounce to midfield.
That ball was dead when the Mississippi State player touched that football.
Right around midfield at the 50-yard line. That's where we're going to spot it for Auburn. The Tigers looking to make it 7 wins in their last 8 outings against Mississippi State. And Robert Dunn going to try and make it happen on offense for the Tigers when we come back. Auburn leading 3-0 with 13:09 to go in the fourth quarter here at Scott Field in Starkville, Mississippi. Chris Todd has gone the entire way, but that guy right there, number 18, is Cody Burns, the backup quarterback who started the first game of the season for Auburn. Bob, why not him?
Well, I think you have a valid point, but the offense that Auburn has generated tonight has been throwing the ball down the field, and Chris Todd actually does that better than Cody Burns. But I think you have a valid point. I mean, they thought enough of him to start him the first game of the year.
And now they look over a second time at the sideline for the call. Burns with time. There's a flag down at the line of scrimmage. And 9 times out of 10, that's a hold.
Yeah, we're going to get a hold on number 5, the tight end from Auburn, Tommy Trott, that time. They kept him in for pass protection, and he just grabbed the guy.
That doesn't count as protection? Let's go back to the studio with Wendy Nix.
Mark, my friend, he is a quarterback's worst nightmare, and here is exactly why. Ray Malaluga up. There you go. Picks off Todd Beckman. He takes it all the way back. It looks close, but he stays in, and when he gets there, it'll be 21-3 USC over Ohio State late in the second quarter.
There's some lethal speed on that field for USC. Back here, under 13 minutes to go, 1st and 20 now after the holding penalty. Auburn's 9th of the game. On the run, this is Tristan Davis, and Davis is brought down after a gain of about 1 or 2 on the play. Davis suffered his 3rd dislocated shoulder in the spring and had surgery. Last week he scored on a 13-yard touchdown run in their win. He's been impressive when he's been healthy, but the key has been trying to stay healthy for him.
Exactly. And you know there's some frustration over there on that Auburn sideline. But that's all part of making this transition.
Play fake. Todd completes it. It's caught by number 80, Rod Smith, but he's short of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and long coming up now for the Auburn Tigers.
I tell you, Mark, we have to talk about Charlie Harbison. Promoted to defensive coordinator, was the secondary coach at Mississippi State. They have done a great job. Played with tremendous heart tonight, this Mississippi State defense. I mean, they're gaining confidence as this thing goes now.
Holding Auburn to just 3 points. And they could use a stop right here.
Auburn's had some big 3rd down conversions, at least a couple of them, on just throwing deep balls down the field.
Robert Dunn is the middle receiver on the top of the screen. And it's caught once again on 3rd down at the 22-yard line to Robert Dunn.
And this is going to be a big call right here. As far as the flag is down, you're going to see Robert Dunn again on the post route. But it's going to come back because of a hold by Auburn, and they continue, Mark, to self-destruct. But another big 3rd down conversion.
Holding, number 73, offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat 3rd down.
Boy, Lee Zimba needs to go in the witness protection program. I mean, that's the 3rd time that they put the finger on him for penalties here in the second half.
Well, again, I hate to do this to Lee. I mean, he's going to be a great player, but here he is again, the left offensive tackle, his 3rd holding call. Tim Bailey again. I mean, that's a face mask mugging right there.
3rd down in Jackson, Mississippi to go.
They're going to quit looking over there to the sidelines if they don't have more success on offense. They're going to start calling them themselves.
As the coach, we got it.
They're going to look the other way.
Tony Franklin's first-year spread offense encountering some trouble tonight. They hand it off, and Davis goes nowhere. Rocked by Jesse Bowman, bringing some heat.
And I'll tell you what, the MVP for Auburn so far in this game, maybe Clinton Durst, this punter. I mean, this guy beat out Ryan Schumacher, who was 2nd team All-SEC last year. 3 years ago, he wasn't even punting. He was a soccer player in high school. Boy, this guy puts on a show punting the football. We haven't mentioned him tonight.
Derek Pegues, meanwhile, Bob, standing at his own 22-yard line, hoping for a big play here for Mississippi State. Wow. And he might get an opportunity here. At the 17, Pegues. And he's chopped down just across the 25 at the 27-yard line. Good stop made by Walter McFadden on the play, and Durst gets off a 46-yard punt. The Bulldogs looking for another miracle like a season ago against the Tigers.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Volkswagen, Das Auto, it's what the people want. And ESPN Game Plan. See the most college football every Saturday. To order, call your pay-per-view provider.
Welcome back, everyone, to Starkville, Mississippi. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davie. Bob, in a day and age when they've been setting records in NCAA college football for scoring points, we're at the other end of the spectrum with this series between Mississippi State and Auburn. Only 6 points have been scored in this game several times, most recently back in 1978 when the Tigers won it 6-0. So this is more your speed, right? A little defense, right? Mix it in.
Mississippi State 94 yards in 42 plays in this football game.
Wesley Carroll looking to make a play through the air. Got his man again at the 39-yard line for a first down. Number 87, Aubrey Bell, makes the catch. The team's second leading receiver coming in picks up 12 on the play.
And you know, this can give Wesley Carroll some confidence right here. I mean, he just goes back, he sets his feet, doesn't think too much, just delivers the football. You know, Mississippi State has a couple big, good-looking receivers in Aubrey Bell at 6'3". Also, Brandon McCray. I mean, they've got some good-looking guys on the outside.
McCray 6'4". McCray, Carroll just 7 of 17 right now. Hands it off to Dupree. And he stomped up. Boy, he was met with ferocity at the 41-yard line by Merrill Johnson, the 6', 210-pound senior, making the play.
You know, just talking to Tommy Tuberville, he felt like Paul Rhodes, in comparison to Will Muschamp, who's a great defensive coordinator at Texas now, Paul Rhodes probably more of a technique-oriented coach, maybe not quite as much scheme, but just a great teacher, Paul Rhodes.
Second down and 8 coming up for the Tigers here. Carroll double clutched, and it's caught complete at the 42-yard line out of the backfield. The backup tailback, Eric Hoskins. It has been a revolving door of defensive coordinators at Auburn University of late. Coach Rhodes, the incumbent.
Well, you have two, Muschamp and Chizik, that went to the Mac Brown pipeline to Austin, Texas. I mean, all four of those guys, really great defensive coordinators.
Conversely, Bob, for stability's sake, and Tommy Tuberville, he has 5 assistants on staff, though, that have been with him the entire 10 years he's been there.
Yeah, a great point. And stability on defense, because it's the same terminology between coordinators, because Tommy Tuberville is the consistent in that.
3rd and 7. Carroll given time, connects, but McCray short of the first down at the 45-yard line. Stopped up immediately by McFadden on the play. Walter McFadden, his brother, a NFL player, Pittsburgh Steelers. And the popular course that we say once again, 4th down punting situation. 10th punt of the night for Blake McAdams. Oh boy, that is a punt for real. Oh, he used his wedge again. Pitch and stick at the 3-yard line.
In a game like this, you may want to put an asterisk by that punt right there. That may be, when all the dust settles, the play of the game. He unloaded on that one.
Looked like my man Bob Davey on the golf course using his pitching wedge.
Pitching wedge. That was my driver as far as that thing went.
Welcome back, everyone, to Starkville, Mississippi. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davey. Number 9 Auburn in tough tonight against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Let's take a look at tonight's AutoZone playbook. Defense, the buzzword.
Well, it has been all defense. I mean, you have 2 offenses, 1 Mississippi State, not a lot of explosive players. Auburn in a transition going to the spread offense, but there have been some big-time hits and some great defense played in this game. Who would have thought we'd be worrying about the conditioning of the punters right now? Mississippi State's punted 10 times, Auburn 8 times in this football game.
Well, after the 52-yard punt, it's 1st and 10 from the 3-yard line for the Tigers. Tate carries is stopped up immediately by Dominique Douglas, wearing number 22 this week for the fallen teammate of his, Jamar Chaney. 2nd down and about 9 to go. Punters have been a big part of the story tonight with the field position. That's Chris Todd, the starting quarterback, who's gone the entire way. Todd out of the end zone. Pegues had his hand on it, but couldn't come up with the interception. We're here in Starkville, Mississippi. Scott Field at Davis-Wade Stadium under the lights. Number 9 Auburn taking on Mississippi State, the 82nd meeting all time between these two teams. This is the SEC Conference opener for both. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davey. And Auburn has posted 9 shutouts since the year 2000. That's tied for most in the SEC, along with the other Tigers from LSU.
Well, the only thing that may keep Auburn from getting the shutouts tonight is Auburn's offense, because Auburn's offense has gone backwards here in the second half.
3rd and 9 coming up. Todd passing out of his end zone. Flag down.
We're going to get
incomplete.
I just said the shutout. We're going to get holding in the end zone by Auburn,
which means
it's going to be a safety. And that shutout now has come off the books right here.
Holding, number 50, offense. The foul occurred in the end zone. I realize it's safety.
And Mississippi State will get the ball back, too, on the free kick.
Clearly, they're holding on the center, Pugh, who has moved from tackle back into center. And we just said on the previous play, the only thing that may keep Auburn's defense from having a shutout is Auburn's offense. And on the very next play, it happens.
Cortez McCraney was the player being held by Ryan Pugh. And, Bob, you called it. Holding in the end zone constitutes a safety, and the Bulldogs will get the ball back with pretty good field position now, as Auburn will punt off from its own 20-yard line. So, Bob, with here a potential shift in momentum, is this maybe the spark that gives Mississippi State's offense a little boost?
Oh, if this doesn't get them a spark, they need a defibrillator. I mean, this place right now, they have played ugly all night long offensively. I mean, it's all been about Mississippi State's defense. I think the challenge is right now, how does Auburn's defense respond to this? Because their offense just did away with their shutout, and their defense has to go right back on the field right now.
McGee standing on his own 15-yard line with 7:05 to go in the fourth quarter. It is a 3-2 football game. How often do you see that this late in this day and age in college football? And a flag down, the ball kicked out of bounds. They're going to mark it at the 34-yard line.
And Mark, we talked about how little hidden things in this football game. Let's go back to Blake McAdams, Mississippi State's punter, when we said let's put an asterisk by that 52-yard punt that was downed on the 3-yard line. That right now is the play of the football game. Mississippi State's punter on his 10th punt of the night.
Yeah. Last year, these two teams played to a 19-14 verdict, won by Mississippi State. And Blake McAdams right there getting a little bit of dap, getting some love from his teammates. How often do you see that? Well, and here's the punt that nailed it down inside the 5-yard line. And here was his reaction.
MVP, he's saying right now. MVP. 10 punts, and the last one I downed inside the 5.
The ball goes out of bounds, so they move it up to midfield at the 50-yard line. Nowhere to go on 1st and 10. Dupree stopped up behind the line of scrimmage. A loss of about 1 on the play. All they have to do, Mississippi State here, is get into field goal range for Adam Carlson. Bob, are you thinking field goal right now? What do you do? Points are at a premium.
I may be thinking another safety if I'm Mississippi State, the way this offensive performance is going. And when I look at how Tez Doolittle and some of these defenders from Auburn are playing, I mean, you're doing anything you can right now, Mark, to squeeze out a first down.
2nd down and 11 coming up for Mississippi State. Who's going to provide the big play for the Bulldogs on offense? Carroll got rocked. Loose ball, and they're going to say his arm was coming forward. Antoine Carter with some backside pressure. The pass ruled incomplete. But, man, Wesley Carroll took a jarring hit.
Watch this little pass rush move by Antoine Carter, the right defensive end. He's going to do a little turn the shoulders on the offensive tackle. Watch him kind of move through right here. Kind of the arm over. Man, they have a lot of depth in that front 7 at Auburn.
Keep bringing guys in.
People wonder why Mississippi State doesn't go down the field more in the passing game. That just answered the question right there.
Bob, they are 0 for 12, the Bulldogs, on 3rd down conversions tonight. Can they get one here? Wesley Carroll pulls the trigger complete. At the 41-yard line, Poeric Riley makes the play. That is incredibly close to the first down. What do you do, Bob, if it's short?
This is a tough one. That's why Sly Croom got that salary increase in that new contract. He's going to go for it right here. This program has been built on toughness, running the football. Although McAdams, the punter, is the most valuable player in this game.
You might want the defense on there to say, just hold him till we get back on the field.
He's going to think about it. Sly's going to chew on this one a while right now.
Both teams with 3 timeouts remaining. Mississippi State and Sly Croom will ruminate this one and use one of their timeouts. Decision time on 4th and 1 when we come back to Starkville. Auburn leading Mississippi State 3-2. That's right, 3-2. Time winding down here in the 4th quarter. 5:46 to go. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davie. The story of the night has been the intransigence, the non-negotiable, unyielding defenses of both Auburn and Mississippi State. 4th and less than a yard to go here for the Bulldogs.
Great call. 5:45 left. You have to go for it right here.
Decree, I'm not sure that he got it. Looks like he got the right foot spot, but I'm not sure that he got enough. Trey Blackman came in and delivered the first hit.
They didn't get a great spot either. And it's going to be up to this Mississippi State defense to get the football back once again. Yeah, big hit by Trey Blackman. The linebacker stepped up in that hole right there.
That's the guy that teammates say is going to have a breakout season, and that's a huge play for the Tigers.
Well, Sly needs to get his head up because that defense is going to follow his lead. It's all back to the defense. The way you've been playing, you can get the ball back right now for this offense.
This season, the Tigers have been outscoring their opponents 31-2. They get a flag down on the field. And this penalty looks like it's going to go against the Auburn Tiger coaches on the field. That's one of the points of emphasis.
Well, there's no more sideline warnings. They're going to penalize
Sideline interference on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty. It's still first down.
In the past,
1st and 15.
They used to give you a sideline warning. And they really don't want to call that. And just talking to officials, they're going to come over there and tell you, Coach, you need to get back. And they'll probably do that several times. So that was probably warranted right there.
1st and 15 as a result of the penalty. And Mississippi State's defense come up with a sequence here. Tate with a nice run over the 45 out to the 47-yard line. He earned back a good chunk of that lost yardage and then some. He picked up 11.
Boy, he runs hard, Ben Tate. Holds the Maryland high school record for career and season yards. The prototype I tailback, Ben Tate.
Whose father drives tirelessly or flies to every single one of his games. 2nd down and 3 coming up. And off to Tate again. And it's loose. Loose ball. Still no signal. We're going to pull players off the pile. Still waiting. Remember, Auburn had a couple of fumbles from its tailbacks last week. Lester and Tate both put it on the ground. Tate fumbled one last week.
How big is this call right here?
And the Bulldogs have it. Keith Fitzhugh comes out of the pile with the ball. And the Bulldog offense will have yet another opportunity with 4:48 to go here at Scott Field. Incredible.
Let's take a look right here.
Yeah, it's loose. No doubt about it.
I think KJ Wright, 34, is in there. How about this Mississippi State defense, though? Under Charlie Harbison, you talk about playing with great heart and character tonight.
And Wes Carroll tripped, trying to hand it off. It has been that type of lifeless, anemic night for the Mississippi State offense. And it couldn't have happened at a worse time for the Bulldogs. Ball all the way back at the 48 now. A second down and 15 coming up.
At some point, Aubrey Bell, number 87 at 6'3". Brandon McCray, number 6 at 6'4". Wesley Carroll, step up and make a play. Get it to one of those big receivers. Right there, you see working in tandem.
They literally haven't been able to get out of their own way on offense.
You have to protect those defensive ends from Auburn to get it to them.
Here's Carroll. Given time. Incomplete. And no flag on the play. 3-2 ball game. 5 points on the board. Sounds like a baseball score, right? Well, this was the result last spring between Auburn and Mississippi State. 11-4, 4-3, 12-2. So maybe we need a pinch hitter, Bob. What is that? Or a DH or whatever they play in the SEC, baseball-wise. Bring in a Rafael Palmeiro or a Will Clark, who both played baseball here at Mississippi State.
One thing you don't want to do here, don't turn it over. If you don't convert third down, at least punt it down there with McAdams and win the field position battle. Don't make a stupid mistake.
Carroll throws it up. Incomplete at the 28-yard line, but there's a flag down on the play.
We're going to get a hold back here on Decree, I think, the running back.
Meanwhile, we just received word from Sports Information Department in Auburn.
Holding, number 29, offense. Penalties decline, 4th down.
Brad Lester has a sprained neck. He was carted off the field earlier in the third quarter, and he is on his way back to the stadium here. Meanwhile, 4th and 15, Bob.
I don't understand this. Sly Croom.
You punt?
With the offense out there, you definitely punt the football. I mean, Mississippi State with 2 timeouts left, 3 minutes and 49 seconds left in this game. I cannot imagine that right here on 4th down that he would go for this.
They've misfired twice on 4th down tonight. Once running it, most recently, earlier passing it. Carroll. And here comes the heat. Got to let go of it. Up for grabs. Incomplete. And the Tiger defense responds.
That call makes absolutely no sense to me. From a field position standpoint, with over 3 minutes and 40 seconds left in this game, your punter and your defense have been the most valuable players in this game. Now, granted, Mississippi State can get the ball back, but they're going to be in very poor field position even if they do get it back. I mean, in my opinion, punt the football right there. Let your defense, your known commodity, play for you.
That looked more like a prayer that Carroll threw up than anything else.
And Mark, all they need is a field goal to win this game, Mississippi State. I don't understand that call.
Bulldogs with 2 timeouts remaining. Auburn with 3. Tristan Davis on the carry. Finds a nice seam over the right side and has a first down with some determined running for the Tigers.
And let me say this. By showing great confidence in your defense, who earned it all night, can you imagine if he'd have punted that football, huddled his defense up and say, look, guys, it's all on you. You've done a great job. Go win this game for us. Yeah. All of a sudden, by not punting that football, I'm not sure what signal that sent out right there.
First down and 10 for Auburn. From the 35-yard line. Bulldogs have failed twice on 4th down here in the 4th quarter. Davis again. Chopped down. Nice play by Pegues, who has been great from his safety position tonight for Mississippi State.
This guy will be an NFL player right here, Pegues.
One of the first recruits, Bob, for Sylvester Croom. He was part of that class, part of the guys, a special class, unique players that decided they were going to try and turn things around.
Number 1 player in the state of Mississippi. He didn't go to Tennessee because they told him he was going to make him a safety. All of a sudden, he's a safety.
Under 3 minutes to go. Second down and 8. And it's another fumble. Loose ball. Who's got it?
Are you kidding?
Unbelievable. implausible set of circumstances emerging. How many opportunities is Mississippi State going to get from Auburn?
That Auburn offense just bailed out, in my opinion, that call to go for it on 4th down by Mississippi State, and there is still life. This cannot happen right here. I don't care if you call it the spread or what you call it. To turn that football over in that situation is not Auburn football.
So Mississippi State gets the ball back. They only lost 2 plays worth of time.
They're going to review this.
I'm not sure what the point of contention is.
I don't know what you can review. Was it a forward pass?
Cortez McCraney was the guy that recovered the loose ball for Mississippi State. They're asking if the ball was pitched forward, making it an illegal forward pass.
Can you imagine that?
If this stands, Bob, the Tigers will have had 3 turnovers here in the second
half. Well, let's take a look at this. No, you can't call that. That's a fumble. That's a toss.
Yeah.
Backward fumble right there. I mean, Tristan Davis, you have to catch that ball.
You think?
That call will not be reversed right there.
Yeah, there must be indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field.
Good effort by Cortez McCraney right there, but see if the ball goes
After
forward.
Review,
no
the
question.
ruling on the field is confirmed. 1st down.
So the Bulldogs will get it, Bob Davie, from their own 34-yard line. 66 yards to the end zone, but they have to get in field goal range, that's all. One more look at it. Davis.
And I'm sure those Auburn fans don't want to see that one again.
Decree the deep back out of the eye on 1st down and 10. Carroll downfield has a man. Incomplete and almost intercepted. It's picked off. Number 6, Walter McFadden with the biggest turnover of the game.
That was a tremendous play by Walter McFadden on Brandon McCray. I thought McFadden grabbed him a little bit about 10 yards prior to that, but that was a tremendous play. Let's watch right here. Wesley Carroll just airs it out.
It bounced up.
Are you kidding me? Was his left foot on that line, though? Let's take a look at his left heel. There's no possession yet. I think that left heel
was he out of bounds?
Right there.
Are they going to? Every play is up for review.
They're going to review that.
The previous play is under further review.
Isn't this interesting? We got to take one more look at this.
This is the best 3-2 game I've ever been involved in. I'll go out on a limb and say that. Let's take a look at the whole thing now and see if right there's a little holding. You really couldn't see it. Maybe I missed that. Now, McFadden, not really conclusive evidence there. I think this is our best angle right here. Great job of McFadden not looking back until the last possible second. The ball's on his helmet. Right there is the whole thing. Can that call? I see the dust come up the chalk on the hash signal.
I'm not sure that they're going to say there's indisputable evidence to overturn the call on the field.
I don't think you can say that, Mark. I think you have to let that call stand.
Bob, he caught that ball, McFadden did, while he wasn't looking at it. I mean, that was a blind catch. He doesn't even see it. He feels it more than catches it.
That is a tremendous play. One hand cradles the ball, has control. I don't think you can rule that his foot was on the line.
Field, stand.
Yep.
1st down.
Play stands, and it's 1st and 10 coming back the other way. What a play by Walter McFadden, the 6-foot junior.
That was a tremendous play. Keep in mind, that was 1st down on offense by Auburn right there.
Time running out on Mississippi State. They've got 2 timeouts remaining, but this defense has continuously come up with big plays. Tate running it over the right side of the line out to the 21-yard line.
Do you have to wonder, is Tommy Tuberville over there thinking, could we just get back in the eye and put the quarterback under center right now?
He might want to punt it on 3rd down. Auburn's had a great record in conference play in the last 32 outings.
Let's go back, though, and talk about that defensive play by Walter McFadden. You mentioned his brother Bryant plays for the Steelers. They said he was the most improved defensive back in the spring. That was a tremendous defensive play to make that interception.
Yeah, the fact that he actually makes that catch, Bob, with one hand while he's not really looking at the ball. He more felt for it than anything else.
And you look right here with 2 minutes and 9 seconds left. Mississippi State with 1 timeout. If they can stop him, call an immediate timeout. Auburn will punt that football with about 1 minute and 10 left in the game.
Trouble with the snap by Chris Todd. Boy, Auburn's offense imploding right now, Bob Davie. They can't get out of their own way.
Well, let's talk about their center situation. You know, Ryan Pugh was their starting center. Because of a shoulder injury, they moved him to tackle. Now, Jason Bosley gets hurt in this game, so they move Pugh back inside, but he has a bad shoulder, and it impedes his snapping. But can't you just snap it under the center?
It sounds simple. Hey, Monday Night Football returns with an NFC East showdown in Texas Stadium. Donovan McNabb, Brian Westbrook, and the Philadelphia Eagles take on Tony Romo, Terrell Owens, and the Cowboys. Monday Night Football on ESPN, 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS. Now, the last 3 possessions for Auburn, they gave up a safety, then had a fumble, and another turnover on a fumble.
And you think right now Auburn will run this football. This clock will then run down. There's a 40-second play clock. So we're looking at 1 minute and 25 seconds when Auburn punts the football. If they can successfully take the shotgun snap and hand the ball off.
This play will end under 2 minutes, so we'll go to a 25-second play clock. Tate.
That's it.
Oh, with a back-breaking run, a spiriting, crunching, killing run. Tate takes the life out of the Bulldogs defensively and runs into Mississippi territory.
And Tyrone Green, the left offensive guard. Watch him. He's going to pull and get a kick-out block right here. Right there. A little trap play up in there. Good move in the hole by Ben Tate.
Wow, that really is the type of run that can get you a little disconcerted if you're Mississippi State.
Mississippi State with no timeouts, Mark. They can just take a knee right now, and this football game's over.
They're in the old victory formation. Chris Todd has led this team offensively from the very beginning. His backup, Cody Burns, who was a starter for Game 1 for the Tigers, has not been into the game. And Chris Todd, hey, it hasn't been pretty. This has not been a Picasso of a painting by any stretch of the imagination, but if
bizarre.
They should hold on.
A little borders on a little bit of the bizarre now.
Especially in the second half with the fumbles.
In a 3-2 game to have as many big plays and big miscues and still only have 5 total points.
Chris Todd was 14 of 26 passing for 154 yards.
But you know, in fairness to this Auburn offense, they were 96th in the country last year in total offense, or 97th. They were 103rd in pass offense. They weren't real good last year, so it's going to take time with this transition.
And for Sylvester Croom, the head coach of Mississippi State, a really heartbreaking loss, a loss in which they can look back at the tape and say, wow, we had an abundance of opportunities to at least get in field goal range and attempt a game-winning field goal. But Bob, we go back to that 4th down try.
Does that look like a coach who just had a big win? Because as a coach, you always worry about where do we go from here. He has a great defensive football team, Tommy Tuberville.
So Auburn will, in all likelihood here, hang on and defeat Mississippi State in their conference opener against the Bulldogs. Listen up, folks. The final score Boy, this is going to be nice to say. 3-2. That's right. Auburn improves to 3-0 on the season. Mississippi State falls to 1-2 overall, 0-1 in conference play. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Tommy Tuberville's crew comes into Starkville and rolls out with the victory. Right now, let's join Wendy Nix in our ESPN studio.
Mark, thank you very much. P.J. Hill and his 10th ranked Wisconsin Badgers getting ready for a showdown with Fresno State. That game coming up right here on ESPN2 at 10:30, the bottom of the hour. I'm Wendy Nix and Robert Smith. We will get you ready for that game. But first, a look at what's going on around the land. And of course, it would not be complete. You got to start with Beanie Wells.